Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name is Sean Bell. I'm joined by James Farley.
Hello, Sean.
Hello, James. And Matthew Murray.
Hello, Sean.
Did you know it's National Video Game Day, everyone?
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
I didn't know that
Very
until
late
I've just
in the
got
day.
Twitter open.
Did you see the Ubisoft tweet as well, Sean? Was that what
No.
it was? Okay.
No, what did Ubisoft do?
Well, they just said Happy Video Games Day. I thought maybe you'd seen it off there, because I had no idea.
No, it's trending, mate. There's 29.3 thousand tweets about it.
Really?
Wow.
Who made this
Gamers
up?
rise up.
Who made this up, and why is it today?
I've no idea, man. I don't know where these things come from. It's just, the Met Office did a tweet with a GIF of some. It's like a map of the UK, and it's all pixel art, and then it's a bit like Pac-Man.
Wow.
It's great stuff.
I mean,
just absolute great stuff.
As a video gamer, I'm surprised I'm hearing about this very late in the day. I should have booked a day off work. I should have planned.
I feel like they've missed the target audience for this.
I can't believe I'm doing a video game podcast on National Video Games Day. So I guess I should be out.
There's pure sales and stuff as well,
Disappointing. Polite reminder, we've got a live show coming up on the 19th of October at 3 p.m. at EGX 2019, which is back in London, so you can all stop moaning, even though I still insist that the fact that it's at XL makes it less accessible than being at the NEC. But whatever, that's me.
It's rubbish.
As with all our previous EGX shows, you don't need a special ticket or anything, as long as you're there on the day. And you've got a ticket for EGX itself, you can come along and see us, and it should be a good laugh. I assume, Dave is joining us, isn't he?
Yeah.
As far as we know.
I'm sure he will be, yeah. I'm fairly sure. Just to say, basically, early entry tickets for Saturday have already gone. So, but like stamp,
shit. Okay.
That's why I wanted to add this into housekeeping now. I know we're like a fair few months away, because now it's like it's 19th of October. But yeah, so early entry tickets for Saturday have already gone. So grab yourself a day ticket or just get the week pass or whatever you're going to do. But I've just best to mention it now before they go.
We haven't discussed details yet, but there will be some sort of gathering afterwards, we imagine.
There will be a meet of some description. There will be a signing tent. There will be drinks. There will be... James will pose for photos, the standard
yes.
post-podcast, unless he's on holiday. So
that's true, yeah. He's got time to book a holiday yet, James.
To make sure we're not going away again. Because
you better not be... If you miss this one, James, don't bother coming back.
No, I have put it in my calendar this time, so it should be fine.
Have you?
So you said, do not book holiday on this date.
Yeah.
Good. This show is also supported by Patreon. If you want to head over to patreon.com/TCGS, there are ways you can pay us for extra shit, and it is quite entertaining if you ask me, because obviously we wouldn't charge money for it if we didn't think it was any good. We have a few Patreon producers this week. Patreon producers are Alan M. Nash, Barney Sparkells, and Steve Garrett. So thanks very much for that. Should we get on to feedback?
Let's. Obviously, last week's feedback, we started with Stuart Baker, who emailed in saying the Cadence of Hyrule section the week before went on a bit. He wasn't the only one, actually, to say that. But, we got loads of emails saying, don't worry about it, or that's the best bit, or if you're not going to talk about games on the gaming podcast, where the hell are you going to talk about it? Which are all good points. I'm not going to read them all out because it's fine. But I will say thanks for the support, and this will mean I will be doing double the length of my what you're playing moving forward. So thank you.
You say that. I've looked at the plan. You have actually got quite a few, so this could be...
He's looking ridiculous.
I've got 60 games. Strap in, Stuart. It's going to be a biggie. Andrew Dumacon emailed in. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Andrew. Just to say, what an excellent stream last Tuesday's Mario Maker 2 Play by the Bell was. Not least because I got to watch Sean play one of my levels. I have friends that will play my levels and give me feedback, etc. But being able to see someone else play and hopefully enjoy this gives you some great feedback on whether your creation is actually fun to play. Hearing Sean say, I'm going to give us one more go about 5 times before continuing after the next death was the exact one more go I feel like I like to implement in my levels. Also great to see his reaction to the various troll placements and his relief when he actually cleared the level. I'm glad he didn't quit and he played to the end. TCGS plays Mario Maker 2 should definitely be a more regular feature. Keep up the good work. P.S. Sean could have at least given my level a like. He didn't, so I'm cancelling my Patreon.
That's fair enough, mate.
But basically, yeah, it was an excellent stream, and I think you should basically do it every Tuesday now, Sean.
I am. I think. I mean, obviously, you'll know by the time this goes out. I think I am just going to do another week of Mario Maker 2 stuff.
It's just so it's so watchable. Like well, one, you're just experiencing levels. Hopefully for the first time. But even if you're not, you're just playing this new varied levels. Some are really short, some are much longer, some are hard, some are just with fun mechanics. And it was. Yeah, it's also awesome when you're like saying, "Okay, this is from this person," and they're watching in the stream, and it's just like it was just a good vibe, Sean.
Yeah, it was so much fun to do as well. Like I if it was something that had gone down well, but I was like, but do I really want to play it every week? I probably wouldn't, but I sort of do want to keep playing it. Yeah. So I think that might just be what Played by the Bell is for the next few weeks now.
That or FIFA. It's that or FIFA. It still hasn't happened, has it, Sean?
I've bought the games. It's just a case of figuring out how it fits into the schedule. If I could just, give over another night a week, I could, but no, I would.
I think you should be playing them, Sean. I'm playing Quantum Break. It's
very
boring.
What's that?
That was your choice, James.
I know, it was a poor choice in retrospect, but...
I saw it coming a mile off.
Then why should I suffer for your poor decision making?
Don't take it out on Sean just because you fucked up again.
You promised that you would play FIFA, and what are we in now? We're in July, and it still hasn't happened.
Miles away for FIFA 20.
It's half a year.
We'll figure it out. It'll be fine, I'm sure.
Is the journey over, or are they doing another one?
Yeah, it's over. It's all done.
It was a trilogy, wasn't it?
Oh, man, so they won't be off. I was going to say wait for FIFA 20, but...
No, they've added street football for FIFA 20. They've binned off the whole narrative thing, which is a bit of a shame.
I don't really. So I thought they were going to start a new arc with it, but no, okay.
No, not bothered.
That's a shame.
Well, you haven't played it yet.
One day. Yeah. One day. I'm not trying to get out of it. There's just other things I would rather do.
You'd rather play fun games.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest.
Weird quirk I've got.
If Sean has to play 60 hours of FIFA, I mean, come on. Who's going to be enjoying that?
That's a lot of hours.
I'd
rather play 60 hours of FIFA than all of David Cage's games.
Why are you getting on David Cage's back?
Well, we'll come to that later. But
also, James, you have played all David Cage's games.
Not yet, I haven't. I've still got one to go, which I'm still... Now I've got an Elgato, I'm seriously considering it.
I was going to say, this is worth mentioning. So are you going to try and do some Mario Maker 2 streams, or...
I don't know, because I feel bad about that now, because I kind of feel like that's your thing, and it's like I don't want to come and
I'm happy to share the burden.
I think you should both do it. Absolutely, it'd just be interesting to see different styles, and also,
yeah,
I think it'd be
interesting.
Maybe I'll do that.
Maybe this is our new thing. Maybe we just are a Mario Maker 2 stream team. Mm-hmm. That's just what we do now.
Someone on Twitter. It was a guy who created the TCGS level, which is amazing. And the link...
It's incredible.
The code for that is in the YouTube version of Sean's Mario Maker 2 stream, so go to our YouTube channel and find it. There's this guy, apologies, I can't remember his name, but he created this amazing TCGS level. He tweeted me saying, "It's still on your plate." I'm like, I haven't got Mario Maker 2. It's going to remain on the... How is that possibly on my plate? I didn't even go collect the food. It's not on the plate. It's nowhere near the plate.
I played it today, and it is excellent. It's very good, and I did enjoy it very much. I liked it because it was good. Although my room was
high praise from Farley. That, but it was also. I mean, we talked about this briefly on the bonus show, but yeah, the guy who made it was finishing it while I was streaming, so I was just really glad that people in the chat no, you got to try this one. This guy's made it. It's TCGS themed, and I was all ready for just going to bed, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And it ended up being one of the best bits of the stream. So
it's a perfect way to end it.
Probably good. Yeah, totally. Probably gonna just carry on doing that for the next few weeks at least.
But you should definitely do it, James. Especially now you've got an Elgato. So once Quantum Break is over, I can't believe you're still playing it.
Well, no, I'll talk. Well, I say I'll talk about that later, but I don't want to because it was a miserable experience last week, so probably won't. I was thinking. I was thinking of doing Fire Emblem when that comes out. But now I'm thinking not, because I've just found out that it apparently takes 200 hours to fully complete. So
it's 80 hours per house.
Yeah, which is insane. I mean, I'm not doing that. That's not on the stream anyway. That would be ridiculous. It'd take years.
No, that's fair. James, are you looking forward to learning how to use Streamlabs?
Yes, I think that'll be fun. I started fiddling around with it on the weekend, but I didn't have time, and I thought I'd rather play games instead, so it didn't happen. But this week I'll figure it out.
Plenty of time for technical support. Although I will say Streamlabs isn't on Mac, I don't think so.
was it
You might
not?
have to go old school and go OBS, but it's all good.
Proper OBS.
We've both gone through it, James, so we'll help you out. Luke Summerhays has emailed in. Howdy, fellas. In the most recent episode, you talked about Nintendo's statement about not censoring third-party software. Sean joked, you don't see porno DVDs at the front of HMV. That might be true, but in Japan, you literally have a shelf of straight-up pornographic magazines and sometimes DVDs right at the front of every convenience store. I'm not talking slightly seedy zoo-esque lads mags. These are full-on porn magazines and they're right there in plain view. It is unusual to see a salaryman on his way home from work stood right at the front of the store leafing through some nudes. Compared to that, some anime titles in the eShop are nothing. Keep up the top content.
Anime titties, not titles, Matt.
Oh, okay. Although, actually, I think my version's way better. Yeah, so I guess it's just different.
But then also, why are there still magazines and DVDs? Like, they disappeared from the UK ages ago, like from shops.
That's the point.
So why did
they? I bet. I'm fairly sure they're probably still in like off licenses, aren't they?
Really?
I don't know. I haven't bought one in ages.
Go and have a look.
Well, when I was looking for them last week, they certainly weren't.
Yeah, they usually just get sent straight to work, so I don't see them in stores.
Just go and have a look and leaf through them on your way home. You know, and see what they got.
Salary man such as I will do that.
Standing on your skateboard, leafing through a porn mag. It'd be brilliant.
Holding my latte. So I barely got room for all these DVDs and magazines. Put them in the bag. Ryan Haman, weighing in as an American, American internet. It's not just underdeveloped parts of America that are putting down the average. Even the tech centres, he's in Seattle, monopolies mean the providers don't have to try very hard, and they definitely don't. So I guess, if you've got like Comcast or whatever, and no one else is in the area, Comcast doesn't even have to try it. And
that's what I've heard. It's like you rock up somewhere and it's like, well, there's only one provider in this area, so there is no competition, so it's just rubbish.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. I thought America was all about competition.
Turns out it's not. If you're a big corporation, it's fine. It's I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
I guess like here, unless you're in like exceptionally rural areas, you've usually got a choice of either Virgin or Sky, or maybe not Virgin, but definitely Sky and or BT or Plus Net.
And often, especially if you're on fibre, you're basically if you're not on, if you've got fibre but it's not Virgin, then you're on BT's fibre network. But then there's all sorts of arguments going on about them. Like people sort of claiming like, anti-competitive laws should be put into effect and stuff, right? I forget the full details.
But there's not really any way they can deal with that because, they own the network because they laid it, didn't they? And it's
they built the fucking thing, so yeah.
But it's kind of difficult. I mean, I remember reading like a while ago there was a plan to cable like the whole country basically with like fibre that BT had, and then the Tory government under Thatcher stopped it from happening because she said,
brilliant.
She said you can't do that because we need to open it up to competition, and so that's how we ended up with like some cable services that came in from America. But it couldn't be done for the whole thing, which was a shame.
I had. We were one of the first people in our town to get broadband, and it was supplied by Cable and Wireless.
Yeah, I remember that. We had Bell Cable Media, and then that became NTL, and then
because Cable and Wireless became NTL.
It was Cable and Wireless, then it became NTL, and then later it became Virgin. A little bit of history there.
That's a great one down history, down memory lane.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I thought that getting onto old ISPs would be a good.
That's for the Patreon content.
Who remembers Demon Internet? They were great. Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who stayed on AOL dial-up like years into broadband being a thing, and it's not not that he didn't care, like he was on the internet constantly, but he just didn't want to go through the hassle of like cancelling it and starting going somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I just I
know there's supposed to be loads of people that are still subscribed to AOL and just don't use it, but they just haven't cancelled their subscription.
Probably, yeah. Like statistically, there must be.
Yeah.
Because they still run, like some people still run dial-up services, don't they? Because there are just some people who need it madly.
Do you reckon those people are still trying to buy like the CDs off eBay? Like, quick, there's another 600 hours here on the CD. Good time.
That was a good gag, Matt. I like
that. Thanks, mate. Chod at Chod UK is an email, it's a tweet, referring to my sunbed addiction last week that I mentioned. I love Matt's stories from his younger days. Each one helps me piece together a little bit of the rich story about how he's become the monstrosity we see now. I posted that picture of me Well, I suppose the two pictures. One, I was terribly sunburnt after the Formula One, and the second picture was me terribly addicted to sunbeds. In that, so just go to our Twitter at Computer Game Pod and just scroll back a few days, and you'll see them. I hope you're happy. But on the one of me with when I was incredibly brown, like a Spanish pool boy, I look quite short in the picture. I think mostly, well, the other two guys I was with are really tall. They're like 6'2" or 6'3", and I'm only like 5'8". I mean, but like one of them was like bending down. He's still taller than me. Tonix T Snake. Why is Matt 3 feet tall? I'm not 3 feet tall, but maybe the camera's at a weird angle.
There was also that edited version of that picture that got posted, which was the best thing ever. With you with the moustache.
Oh yeah, actually,
that was good.
I was meaning to find pictures of me because I would grow a moustache every now and then just because I thought it'd be funny. And I do have some pictures of me at university with a moustache, but I don't think it wasn't when I had the tan. So sadly, there's no crossover.
I like that. It's brilliant.
Yeah, sadly, there's no crossover. Louis Belfort. I'm sure he's corrected us in the past. And is it Louis Belfort? Either way.
No, are you thinking of Mr. Petite?
I'm Mr. Petite. Yeah.
Not Petite.
Not Petite. Based on the photo of Minimat, Sunbed Man, I'm now curious on the heights of all the team. I have a feeling Dave is taller than he looks. No idea on Sean and James. Please provide details.
I think Dave and I are both 5'11". I definitely used to think I was 6 foot, but I think that's wishful thinking. Or maybe it just depends on what shoes I'm wearing.
Yeah.
But
if you're wearing platforms, it's 6'1".
Yeah. Get the heels on. A hand on heart, I think I am 5'11". What about you, James?
Okay, I know what I am in centimetres, but I'm not sure what it is in feet and inches, so I'm just having a look.
Oh, for goodness, do you want me to ask Google?
Yeah. So I'm 175 centimetres.
Okay, Google. What's 175 centimetres in feet?
175 centimetres equal 5 feet 8.898 inches.
There you go, 5 foot 8 then.
Okay.
So the same as Matt.
About the same as Matt, yeah.
I'm probably 5'8.5" actually, but we should measure each other. I mean, not like that. We should. You know what I mean? I'm sure I've got a picture of us together. I'm gonna have to compare. Either way, I'm not that tiny. It just is a weird angle on the picture, probably. Anyway, I'm glad that picture's out there.
I'm sure you are.
Just like when politicians admit they took drugs at university because they're scared of someone leaking it. But that picture's out there now. Although to be fair, I've always been quite proud of it. It's not like I'm ever like, oh no, I hope they don't find the one who looks like a Spanish pool boy. I've literally got it printed out in my house and on Facebook, so I'm not exactly bothered. I saw Gelf on it anyway. Josh Crow. Evening, fellas. As a person who shares the general opinion of David Cage's games being utterly terrible, I wasn't too fussed about playing Detroit, but seeing as how it was on PS Plus this month, I figured I'd try it out. So, at the time of writing this, on Sunday evening, it's taken me 2 days to finish it because I must confess I couldn't put the game down. While I agree it definitely has its fair share of dodgy moments, including a couple of plot holes and one or two occasions where I felt I was just a couple. Just as genuinely missing the information it assumed I knew, I found the story and, for the most part, the characters to be quite well nuanced. I'm not saying this as a way to put it on a pedestal with the greatest games ever, because it isn't. I'm more approaching it as part of Cage's works overall, and this is easily his best work. James, cool. You have to hold... Yeah, I feel the controls have finally been nailed down to a highly satisfying level. The voice acting is of a very high standard, and while there are moments that were overtly meant to sway my opinion in a specific way, I felt I was interfacing with characters I actually cared about. The Kara and Alice storyline in particular was my favourite. Amen to that. And I grew to cherish their relationship because it was presented in a way that actually seemed endearing, something which Cage has always pretty much failed to succeed in doing with his previous games. It doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means, but it has returned my thoughts to the AI consciousness debate, something which I find to be of an endless fascination. Like I said, it's not greatest of all time material, but I do feel confident in saying that if I hadn't played it last year, it would have. If I had played it last year, it would have been in my top 3 for sure. Which, for a game I wasn't really that asked about, says a lot in my book. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is I'm entirely in Matt's camp on this one, and I feel James was somewhat harsh on the Gotti show last year. But hey, we're all different, and yes, Matt, the bit with the carousel was a well-placed bit of levity that I enjoyed during what should be an extensively melancholic storyline. So I'm with you on that one too. Keep up the stellar work. But did it remind you of Last of Us? That's the biggie.
I'm glad that he enjoyed a deeply average game with very poor storytelling, so that's fine.
It's interesting to say that, James, because I'm sure at the time you said actually it's quite good.
I didn't. I said it was deeply average.
Okay, I guess I'll
in scheme of things, that's okay. I mean, it's on PlayStation Plus now, isn't it? So I feel like I should have a go, but also...
Oh, yeah, you absolutely should, yeah. Stream it.
Really?
There's some cracking bits in there.
I'm not streaming it. Yeah. But can you imagine tomorrow, so when I go to do my stream, I don't tell anyone what I'm streaming and then just go straight in with fucking Detroit.
Yeah. Account closed by Twitch. Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to cover it actually in the news, but I implore everyone to download Detroit and give it a go, and let James know what you think of it.
I would suggest you don't waste your bandwidth.
But it's uncapped mostly. It's fine.
I'm downloading it or telling you what they think about it.
Yeah, definitely download it, definitely play it, definitely tell James what you think about it. That's cool. With follow-up and feedback. It's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Mint. James, have you played the Soul Reaver games?
No, I haven't, actually.
Okay, so basically not the first one, so there's the Legacy of Kain Blood Omen, which is the old PS1 one.
Yeah.
And then it moves over to Soul Reaver. So Soul Reaver's set years later, it's like thousands of years later. And long story short, there's this one vampire, Raziel, who he grows wings, which means he's evolved past Kain, who's the big boss of all the vampires, and in fact the entire world at that point. So as punishment, he gets thrown into this massive... It's like a lake, but it's like a giant whirlpool. And basically the idea is that... So in Legacy of Kain games, vampires are all completely immortal, but also water burns them. Mm-hmm. So basically being chucked in this lake, it just means Raziel's just basically condemned to just burn forever in this lake. And you see, in the intro cutscene, you see him getting chucked in, and it's just him just screaming and thrashing around, in the water, and his jaw falls off, and then sort of at the end, it's sort of implied that he just basically just rots at the bottom of this massive lake for thousands of years, and eventually gets brought back to life by the Elder God as a soul eating spirit. So basically, that's the experience I want from you giving us the news this week.
Okay, so what you want me to do is you want me to suck you down into sort of into a pit of news where it's all hitting you from all sides until you sort of scream forever. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, France has made a post-Brexit grab for the UK game developers.
Nice.
Okay.
Smart move.
So what this is the French government has launched a major drive to poach British developers, and they're offering subsidies, tax breaks, and loans to creatives. And they're calling the campaign "Join the Game." And so they're hoping that what's going to happen is they're going to capitalise on the idea that because a lot of businesses, they have UK as a base of operations because it's in Europe, and that no longer makes sense. If you do that, because we're not, we won't be or whatever. And so they're offering tax credits of 30% of production expenses, and which is up to a total of €6 million a year. And also you can borrow €2 million from the government, which you pay back depending on if your company grows or not. So that sounds pretty good. And I mean, it turns out there was a survey released after Article 50 was invoked, which said that 2/5 of the companies in the UK that were game companies were thinking of moving anyway, mostly because 57% of them employ workers from the EU, and so it wasn't good. So this is just Brexit, the gift that keeps on giving, basically.
Yeah,
so
it's tremendous.
Yeah, so they're going to be off.
I don't blame them really. I mean, there's probably good opportunity for someone if they feel the UK is going to be in the shit for a long time. If I was a game developer, maybe I do fancy a couple of years abroad, and there's some bonuses there, and I'll see how it works out for me.
Yeah, and you could. Once you're there as well, and you could travel to other countries in Europe as well with no problems, or you'd be able to set up your business in all over the place. It'd be great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people I know in game dev tend to travel about anyway. So yeah, there really won't be any stranger to this. I mean, I'm sure, Brexiteers will be like, oh, yeah, but you have to go and live in France. So, yeah. It's like, yeah, well, France is quite nice, actually. So,
yeah.
Not a terrible idea at all.
I'm quite upset that they could have used like a great sort of Wii U pun, couldn't they, or something? Like, yes. I mean, if that was me, I would have said, "How can we get Wii?"
I'm intrigued to hear this is going to work. Go on.
I don't know. I mean, because it means like yes, you. So I'm like, how can we? Almost like we want you, and it's like me. It's like yes, we. You. I'm sure there's something there. We'll workshop it later.
We and you. Like together make games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but also they can maybe like play on. I mean, Wii is a bad console to riff on, but I mean, like France, if you're listening, get in touch. I think we've got some great ideas. Yeah. Macron, get in touch. Anyway, yeah, this seems alright, doesn't it? Seems good if you're in the industry and you feel like having a change.
I mean, it's quite good. Basically, it means if you're a game dev, then you've got an exit strategy there, which I think a lot of people are willing
to more can be said. But, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, next story is about Obsidian, and so Obsidian. So we've got here Obsidian being careful not to lecture players in Outer Worlds. So what this was is the co-director of Obsidian's Outer Worlds. This is Leonard Boyarsky. Said that the game won't be what he calls politically charged. So
right,
what he says here is the game explores what he says is the dark side of capitalism. But then, do you want to hear the quote of what he says here?
Please.
So it says, his quote says, "I don't want people to think this is a really hard politically charged game. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be humorous," he said. And he said, "Having grown up in America and been through the onslaught of consumer culture, we're very familiar with that and like to poke fun at it," he said. And then he went on to say, "I like money. I'm not going against capitalism, and in a lot of ways, I'm happy with our society. But of course, there are a lot of ways in which it could be improved. We started development in April 2016, and a couple of things happened in world politics between then and now that nobody expected. We weren't expecting that." And then he said, "It can be insidious, the way which people control the stories you tell about the world. If you let other people control that narrative, then they can control you to a certain degree. That can be any form of government. If it wasn't capitalism, it would be something else." So that's like what he feels that the game is focusing on, this idea of like of control and the way you control stories and how this can affect people's sort of narrative and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's definitely not political.
No, it's not political.
No, absolutely
at all.
not.
It's all a bit of fun.
I'm getting really sick of this. It seems to be like, I know people have suggested that maybe this is a thing that developers have to claim to make sure that they can actually release their game in certain territories and stuff. But if that was the case, why wouldn't we just be like, no, it's not political, no further comment, bye, and then just let the game speak for itself?
I guess they feel like they've got to like add. I guess they feel like they can't just say it's not political, move on. I guess they feel like they've got to, but it's just like everything is political, and it's just I'm really sick of stuff. It's like, are they doing it? Well, I mean, maybe they're doing it for the reason you said, actually, Sean. But also, are they doing it because they're too scared of offending anyone?
I think it's essentially that, isn't it? I mean, that's what the Ubisoft approach is, isn't it? It's like, we don't want to upset anybody who may potentially buy this game. But then, if you're going to create a game which is looking at like something like this, you've got to expect that people are going to see subtext in what you're writing, or even like exactly what you've written, and also that it's going to affect the way that people think about things as well. I mean, that's part of the reason why you deal with a topic like that. And I mean, it's great to poke fun at the problems of capitalism, but as he said himself, the times have changed now, and there's a huge level of polarisation that exists, and I just feel it's very naive to believe that you can be entirely neutral about this at this time, like, and have no impact.
Absolutely.
And this is why, I mean, like Rockstar have said about making a GTA game right now would be difficult, because a lot of the stuff they did was like, parodying and everything. And
definitely.
In this environment that we're in now, I'm not sure it works. In exactly
because everything's so beyond parody already.
Yeah.
It's just, that's why like Armando Iannucci isn't doing like, modern political satire anymore, because he's like, what is the fucking point? And there's another quote in this that bothered me. It says, "There are people in this game who have philosophies that I don't agree with, and I take pains to make those people very likeable, very sensible, and very believable. Then there are people in the game who say things I agree with, who are perhaps not very nice to hang out with." I just like, what is that? Like, you're saying, oh, yeah, well, it's supposed to be neutral. You don't make a story neutral by going, oh, I'd better make sure the Nazis are all really nice to hang around with. And the people I would normally like with the total arseholes and the kind, sort of bad, actually. That's just writing the opposite of what you actually think. It's still
that is also politicising everything as well. Like you're totally politicising it if you do that.
Yeah. I'm all for like well-written, believable, or occasionally likable villains. Like, I've no issue with that. But maybe that quote is sort of taken a bit out of context or whatever. But certainly in isolation, that reads really terribly. I thought.
I mean, but when I read that, I looked at it. I thought of it differently. I thought that is him saying, well, you can have your beliefs, but be a different type of person, or you can have other beliefs you might not agree with, but actually the person behind him is likable. I saw it more as like a separation between a person's political beliefs versus the actual person
and
themselves.
How likable they actually are. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's just trying to make it so it's not like black and white. It is grey. It doesn't matter whether it's that you've got to separate the beliefs and the person because they can be opposites. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what he's really saying. I mean, that's the way I took it, at least.
See, I just feel like at the moment, like the excesses of capitalism, like obviously it can be funny to do that, and there's been loads of games which have done that in the past. But I just feel like at the moment, like the real world consequences of what is going on at the moment is becoming more and more apparent. Like if you look at like environmentally, socially, politically, the whole thing, I think we're kind of beyond just poking fun. And if you're going to do that, you've got to be really careful about what you're doing with that. And you've also got to have a really clear idea of what you're trying to say if you're doing that, rather than just like it's rather than just sort of like both sides ism. If you
like I'd rather someone said something I didn't agree with than just trying to be like, but what if everyone's right?
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't interest me.
If you're going to write something which is like, actually we think capitalism's fine, that's great. Write something like that and explain why you think that. Like, why is that? He says, I like money. I'm not going against capitalism. Well, that's fine. Then write something that says that and why you believe that that's correct. That's fine. But
because that would be more interesting. But like games are becoming more mature. Like it'd be great for games to tackle this. It's not just. We're hiding behind the game, or we're hiding behind the fact we want everyone to buy it and not, create sides. But wouldn't it be interesting for a game to take a side and take a stance? I mean,
it's that sort of like, just like, this is a bit rubbish, isn't it? Wink, wink. And it's like, it's like we know.
Yeah, and like, and I understand it's quite a unique sort of writing and, sort of narrative design problem that's like, well, so, you're a human being who has a certain view on things, and inevitably you're going to try and you're going to want to write things a certain way. But if you're designing a game where a player has freedom within a world and might choose to ally with characters that you personally wouldn't like, and I get that, like I understand that that's like an interesting problem, but I just think it's really weird to try and claim that you're writing something apolitical, because I honestly I do not believe that's possible.
Well, by the very nature of the topics you're dealing with, there's no way that you can write that like completely apolitically. And I feel like you said, like, I mean that quote, like talking about how they're trying to like add nuance by making like people that he doesn't agree with, maybe they're they're really nice and all that kind of thing. That just feels like a really, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a terribly well thought out way to deal with that as an issue. It's
no.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the only one. We mentioned Ubisoft and like Chris Avallone, who has worked on lots of really good RPGs, and I respect him a huge amount as a writer. He came out with similar stuff just a few weeks ago, and it was that sort of I'd rather just set up a world and let people explore it and figure things out. So, but that's still a world created by one person who has a certain viewpoint, and it's to an extent, it's always going to be unavoidable.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you get that. I mean, with any sort of world building kind of thing. I mean, obviously the obvious example is stuff like SimCity in the beginning. It's like, you're building a world which you're designing yourself, but you're also building it according to rules which have been set about, which are the world that we live in. It's which is taking a lot of things for granted as being like, this is the way the system works, and
and it's like we've seen how, I mean, it's an extreme example, but sort of computerized or algorithmic systems that have been built supposedly to be impartial, but they're still built and coded with certain people's values, and therefore will be skewed towards making certain judgments. Like, it's
and that's fine, but then you can't claim that that's not what's happening, because it is what's happening.
Exactly.
It's But no, I mean, this is very interesting, and I'm curious to see how this works out. But I don't know, I just wish I just wish people were a bit more upfront about. And a bit more. I mean, because a part of this is obviously, it's that sort of, having your cake and eat it sort of thing of like, they want to do this, but they don't want to admit the fact that they are that they're doing this for the money, which is fine, and they're also doing it because they love what they're doing. That's fine. But then also you can't then claim that you're not going to upset some people with this, because you've got if you're designing something a certain way, it will upset people.
And this is this isn't me like having a go at the game. I'm probably still going to play it and really enjoy it, and I'm probably going to find myself agreeing with a lot of the themes and stuff in it, which is sort of what makes statements like this kind of ludicrous. Mm-hmm. So I
feel like if you talk about this subject, you've got to own the fact you're talking about it. But right now, exactly as you say, they're trying to do one thing, but also not go in too deep because they're scared of what the ramifications could be.
But it also could be so much more interesting if you do that as well. Like if you
properly chose to engage with it.
It can be so much more interesting if you do that. It's
I'm sure in the next couple of years, someone will poke their head above the power pit and actually, oh wow, and then suddenly every game's going, well, this is inherently political, and then suddenly it'll flip because that'll be the trend, or because once one person's done it and they've survived, or maybe some developer that are well loved anyway, and people are like, cool, well done for having a stand. Then everyone else will jump on it and it'll backfire for some. And
I mean, you get that for indie games do that, don't they? Like in the sense that people are much more likely to. To say what they feel about things, but the massive publishers are not going to do that, are they? Because they're just
this
terrified.
is it, and we shouldn't be at a point where it's like, oh well, if this is how much money you want to spend, then you can't say anything. Sorry, like you can't make a statement anymore. You can't try and communicate anything that might upset people.
I mean, the thing is about that is what does that say about the industry as well? Because if you look, if you look at something like cinema, you get big budget stuff which still tries to engage with issues and still tries to say something, sometimes. And it's not all just about like the cash. There is sort of the creative side to it. So I think it's disappointing that that's not happening just yet. But Do you want to hear about Epic?
Yeah.
Go on then. Okay, so Epic are going to foot the bill for Kickstarter refunds. So
that's nice.
We had all this recently whereby like Shenmue 3, that people were kicking off because they couldn't get a Steam key and everything, and then EaseNet said they weren't going to give a refund. Well, Tim Sweeney has now said that Epic are going to fund all Kickstarter refunds for future games that go exclusively to the Epic Games Store. So if this happens and you're not happy about it, they'll foot the bill, because he said that he wanted to ensure that developers wouldn't lose any development funding. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what I think about this, because I'm not a user of this, but
it's once again Epic throwing money at a problem.
Yeah.
Right? But also, I think it's interesting as obviously they've seen it as a likely PR win, because I'm willing to bet that most of the people who kicked off about this aren't actually going to bother claiming the refund. So I don't think this is going to cost Epic all that much, but it makes them look like the good guys again, and they're protecting the devs, aren't they?
Yeah,
exactly. So, that's what they can do. They got this Fortnite money now. They can afford to do these good PR things to try and get people on their side.
Yep.
I think it's great for devs, that aren't going to get affected by people kicking off because of the battle between Epic Game Store and Steam and whatnot. So it's good that devs aren't getting caught in the middle of this crossfire.
Yeah, I guess.
They still are, because if you just look at any games like social media for games that may be announced as Epic Games Store exclusive, and all the tweets, all the comments, it's all just like, well, good luck getting my money, or see you in 2021. It's all the same, like all the YouTube comments on these sorts of games. They're still having to deal with that, but at least they're not going to get funding cuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm willing to bet that EaseNet don't actually have all that much money left to give back to people should it be requested. Assuming most of that Kickstarter money's already gone. But hey,
yeah. If games aren't getting affected, that's a good thing. Whether this actually serves to not annoy the people that hate Epic Games Store anyway, I don't think that's really going to do much. Some people just hate Epic Games Store.
They do,
really do.
What would happen if Steam started grabbing exclusives? Do you think people would be really angry about that as well?
I think they would probably be even more angry, because it would be because with Epic, as absurd as it sounds, in terms of digital game stores, they are the underdog, or certainly an underdog relative to Steam. Mm-hmm. So if Steam started throwing the weight around in the same way, it'd be like, well, you're already on top. How fucking dare you? Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I mean, obviously we just talked about a length before, and I'm like, well, what's it matter? It's just like another store to go. But obviously, everyone then says, well, actually, it's about features, and Epic Game Store is, it's got a long old roadmap in terms of features it needs to implement to get to where Steam is currently.
This is it. It's like, instead of just throwing money at it constantly, just make a better store that people want to use because it's better.
I'm sure they are.
That's
like ultimately.
Yeah.
It's that, and people also don't like it when somebody comes in and starts just throwing money around and like taking things. It's like, with football teams when they get taken over by a billionaire and then suddenly start just buying everybody, and then everyone says, "Oh, you bought it."
That is annoying as fuck, though, to be fair. But I mean, like, I guess I think Steam probably at one point will start doing exclusives, and then but people still blame Epic. Like, well, Epic started it, and now look, you've ruined my Steam. I'm sure, but we on the console side, we've been having to deal with this for ages. Exclusives, true. It's annoying, and surely more competition is a good thing. That's ultimately going to bring prices down. What Epic are hoping, and I guess what we're hoping is that this also brings down Steam's revenue split. And so devs hopefully get more.
The issue is, like, if Epic are doing this by just chucking money around, as we say, then is that sustainable long term? Probably not. Like, is it going to just stop at some point and then they're left with a not quite so good store and no more exclusives and all the rest of it? Like, it just doesn't seem like a long-term strategy to me.
No, but they've got to do something to sort of have like a big bang at the beginning. Like, I think they said...
True, and it's obviously worked. Like, we've talked about it enough, despite, like, I've bought one game on it and it was Outer Wilds because it was an exclusive. I probably wouldn't have bothered otherwise. And yet, none of the rest of us have used it, and yet we still seem to keep talking about it. So it's obviously working.
They've done a better job than Google have in terms of like securing exclusives and like making people talk, about what they've got. It's, this is what I thought Google would do. They'd like come along and just like grab a load of stuff, but they haven't bothered. It's odd.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Okay, do you want to hear about G2A?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good laugh.
So, you see, I wasn't aware of G2A before this story. Because I don't play PC games or whatever, and it's only a PC game thing in it. So this is the store where you can buy and sell used game keys. This is the idea. Yep. And so this story began because... So obviously G2A are not happy at the moment because they're getting a lot of negative press. And this all started because of Mike Rose, who's the founder of No More Robots, noticed that G2A had been buying sponsored ads on Google, which meant that if people bought the game through the ad, then his company got no money, like, at all. It would that would be gone. And then he responded by saying, please, if you're going to buy a game from G2A, just pirate it instead. Like, genuinely, devs don't see a penny either way, so we're much rather G2A didn't see any money either. And then this was backed up by Rage Squid and Vlambeer's, like, Remy Ismail also back this, and Ismail also said these sites cost us so much potential dev time in customer service, investigating fake key requests, figuring out credit card chargebacks, and more. And then G2A responded to this by saying people just don't understand our business, like how it works, which I find an insane response, because obviously these devs understand like their own business because they're running a business and this really matters to them. It's absolutely bizarre, but yeah.
Because to be clear, I mean, I don't know where they're up to these days. The fuss I've always heard around G2A is that, so because people just sell keys on there, G2A asks no questions about where those keys come from, right?
Yeah.
So that basically it was more, wasn't it like pretty much confirmed that people were using stolen credit cards to buy game keys and then just post them on G2A and then sell them?
Not just that. But then, because then also the other thing that happened was that then G2A said there was nothing, like they could investigate these if developers asked them to, and they've said people have asked them, but then they've not done anything. But then they said we don't notice like suspicious things going on or whatever. Whereas, as I said, if you look, there's like some people that are like selling like 50 keys for one game or whatever, and that would be an indicator there's something dodgy going on there. That there's something like not quite right. And they said it's either people doing, as you said, it's like paying for stuff with stolen credit cards, or they're people that are buying keys from like other stores that are like cheaper, like from Russia or whatever, and then reselling them through GTA to make like a profit over that way. And also, I mean, G2A's response to a lot of this seems to have been, well, this isn't great, but if we weren't doing it, someone else would. And that's
amazing.
That's also a bit dodgy. I mean,
have you seen I posted this in our WhatsApp earlier. That G2A are contacting websites and basically saying, "Oh yeah, because we're trying to improve our brand awareness and public image, especially among the indie and smaller game developers. Here's an article about us that you can run without declaring that it's a sponsored article."
What's that?
Which I'm not even sure that's legal in and of itself.
Yeah, but there's also been a follow-up to that. Have you seen it?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, so basically then G2A said on Twitter that actually it was the work of a rogue individual within the company, which is a bit like, oh no, that wasn't me,
temporary worker.
my account got hacked. They said these emails were sent by our employee without authorization, for which we apologise to Indie Games Plus and the 9 other media outlets he sent this proposal to. He will face strict consequences, as this is absolutely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. That's very much like, oh no, that wasn't me. I got hacked, so in a way. That wasn't. I don't know how that happened. They can't. There's even like controversy within controversies. They can't get away from it.
But
we've written an unbiased article.
Jim Sterling's got a really good video on this. It's very good. Like it just goes through the whole thing and how not great the whole thing seems to be. It's
fair enough.
Shocking.
No, sorry, just this quote from G2A's email. We have written an unbiased article about how, quote, selling stolen keys on gaming marketplaces is pretty much impossible.
It's a shame it didn't contact us. Like, hey guys, we've got an article on our site. It's
sorry, funny that, isn't it? I've got a statement I'd like to read out.
Got any stolen games that can have all in it? No problem.
Allegedly stolen, Sean.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, sorry. Well, it's pretty much impossible, as we found out.
But also, we won't run it.
There's nothing wrong with what's going on G2A. It's absolutely fine.
It's pretty much impossible to sell stolen keys.
Okay, last news story is an odd one. I mean, this is Sony mysteriously pulls PES 2019 and replaces it with Detroit. So, originally this month's PS Plus games were going to be PES 2019 and Horizon Chase Turbo, and at the last minute, there was a change where PES 29 has been dropped and it got replaced with Detroit. And initially, people seem to be having a go at Konami, who's saying, like, what have you done this time? How has this happened? And then this time they're like, it's not us. Like, really, this is Sony. But Sony have given no explanation of why they've done this, but it's just odd.
So weird.
Yeah.
Because as it, unless it chimes in with an announcement or something, I don't understand what the thinking is. Like,
But this was changed on the day, wasn't it? On the day the new games were going to come out. So, like, I mean, maybe it's not this well managed behind the scenes, but in my head, there's a big old spreadsheet saying, well, okay, September's games are these, October's games are these. So, change everything at the last second. Yeah, I mean, it could be the Quantic Dream was saying, hey, we've got a game being announced the next month or so. It'd be great if you could move things around and put Detroit on this month, and that'll get people talking about our games. But
wouldn't you try and
we announce a new one?
Try and like synchronize? So it's like new game announcement. P.S. You can play Detroit for free. Like that would. I don't know. It's bizarre.
And the fact that, like, there's been no explanation. I mean, like, they don't have to answer like sort of journalist requests for information, but also it's just a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, I can't really complain because for me, it's an upgrade from a game I definitely wasn't going to play to one that I might out of spite, I guess. Morbid curiosity. So I mean, whatever. But I mean, I'm totally like deflated about PlayStation Plus now. Anyway, like if it wasn't for Destiny 2, I'd have binned it, I think. And even then, I'm not really playing Destiny 2 at the moment. So
I've had it for months now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think I'm missing much.
Let's not overlook. I mean, Horizon Chase. I played it mainly on my phone, which, to be honest, I think it's probably the best place for it. But it's not. But yeah, it's great. So like, definitely give that a go. I feel like it's been sort of overshadowed in the discussions around.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it?
Yeah, which is a shame, really. But weird.
Yeah, I mean, they should be releasing like PSVR games every month or something.
Yeah,
I still think they should just bin the whole thing off and just give it like PlayStation Now or something like that. I think would be better. It'd be more interesting.
How you're saying? Okay, so this month's we're not doing free games.
Yeah.
So instead, pay us £10 a month for PS Now.
I'm saying what they do is they get rid of like they get rid of the free games. They have a low tier for just like if you want to play multiplayer games or whatever. But then they have one now which costs maybe, I don't know, £20 more for like the year that includes PlayStation Now as well.
Oh, James, are you serious? People kick off at that. If like we've got an announcement to make today. If you don't want our shit PS Plus games, you can pay less. But if you do want online play and of games, then you have to pay £20 more.
Yeah, why not?
People would kick off at that.
It's the same as
so the service we offered was bad. Yeah. So why not try the more expensive?
Yeah. And you can play on PS Now, which is some people say is good, and people say isn't so good.
They were selling PlayStation Now for like £50 for a year, like for an annual pass, like not so long ago. Yeah. And if they could do something like that plus PlayStation Plus, I think it'd be more interesting to people than these rubbish games that we keep getting every month.
Yeah, I mean, like in the age of some people saying, "How are these guys still charging for online?" I don't think there's Sony saying actually, ours is now £70 a year.
Yeah, but everybody's charging for online, aren't they? I mean, even Nintendo are. It's like that's not a weird thing.
No, it's not. But I feel like it feels like that's gonna go. I don't know. I mean, maybe it isn't because they make so much revenue, but
they're not going to get rid of like paying for online. But they should make it. There should be something better than these games that they keep giving out now. Because I just don't think it's worth it anymore.
No, totally not.
I mean, it used to be amazing. Like, what's this month's games? And then now you see them and you see people just moaning or just not bothering, or it's just not. I guess I mean, that's different on Xbox. So I've never really ever bothered with the games of gold thing, and mostly because they all come out at different times in a month. It's like just release them all on day one. Don't say like 2 games now and 2 games in 2 weeks' time, because I forget to download all of them. But it doesn't matter.
I mean, really, games with gold is surely even more redundant because. Like you've almost definitely got Game Pass.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying they should do with PlayStation Now. It should make it so that it's redundant to even bother with with PlayStation Plus games.
Yeah, okay.
But that's kind of what we're doing. Like you can buy PS Now if you want, and not buy.
I know, but
PS
it's
Plus.
ridiculous because the way it is at the moment, if you buy PlayStation Now, like at the moment, it's £85 for the year, which is crazy. If it was around 50, that's much more enticing. Like to give it a try. That's like the price of a game or whatever, and it'd be worth it for that.
Yeah, I think like Game Pass is supposed to be what, like 80 or 90 quid a year. I think. Well, it's actually supposed to be like £8 a month times 12. And last Christmas I had loads of crazy deals where you can get 12 months of Game Pass for £50. At the time, that seemed amazing. Obviously now the deals are even better. But yeah, PS Plus needs a shake up, right? Maybe they're saving it all for like when PS5 comes out, and then they're gonna make big changes.
I mean, imagine if they like change it so that it is like PlayStation Now or something like that with with more backwards compatibility stuff. I mean, that'd be amazing if they did something. Like
that'd be alright.
Yeah. I mean, they won't because because it will cost loads of money or whatever. But I can dream. It'd be nice.
We can.
Right. Is it time for some people's favourite bit of the show?
It absolutely is.
It is, but can I just go to the toilet?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be back in a second. Sorry.
No worries. Matt, please leave that in.
Yeah, I'm going to leave all this in.
Yeah.
Cool. How long do you think it's going to take? Do you think we'll be able to hear it on his mic?
It would be great. It would be great if he had left. If it had one of those mics like Britney Spears, which is probably really old. The old Britney Spears.
She's remember Britney Spears?
Oh.
I hope she's all right.
No, she's all right. Actually, I follow her on Instagram. She's all right.
Do you? Okay.
I think she had to quit her tour because her dad's really ill.
Oh shit!
But I guess I can't.
She's not that all right then.
Well, I mean,
she's doing great. I mean, her dad's dying, but
I mean, she. Well, although I was going to say she's doing well, she looks fine, but also I can't get that vision of her shaving her head off when she had her terrible time when she was younger.
Yeah, it's a shame that.
Yeah, it's crazy, really.
Chris Crocker did all right out of it, though.
What happened to him then?
Mate, he's like famous. He does. Is he on YouTube or is he just on Instagram? I can't remember.
What do you mean he's famous? He's famous for what? What did he do?
Chris Crocker. So he did the infamous "Leave Britney Alone" video.
Of course, yeah, him, yeah.
And last time I checked, he's just a big deal on social media.
Wow,
who's this?
Leave Britney, the Leave Britney Alone guy.
Is he still around?
Yeah.
He's massive now, according to Sean.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Sean's his biggest fan.
I'm gonna have to look this
That's
up.
Chris Crocker, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he came up on just like my Instagram search page. It's like, hey, do you want to follow Chris Crocker? And I was like, surely not the Chris
Surely not
Crocker.
me.
But yeah, it was him, and he's just like, yeah, he's just all right, nice guy.
Speaking of
Yeah,
our
Chris
famous
Crocker,
people,
American internet celebrity.
how big were you two into Vine?
Do you know, not a huge amount, to be honest.
Oh,
No.
okay. I was massively obsessed at one point, but and basically what happened was Vine like fell apart, so all those people like left Vine and went to Instagram and stuff. Basically, there's like it's like female, I guess you call comedian, but she does sketches and stuff called Ariel Vandenberg. I still follow her now. Right. She's incredibly beautiful, but also really, really funny. And then she's just got like the gig of hosting Love Island USA, which is it's just mad because she's got this like massive gig, but also she's like the person I followed on Vine a million years ago. Anyways, so I'm watching Love Island USA, is what I'm saying.
I may have to revise my previous statements about Chris Crocker doing well.
Is he
I'm just
dead?
looking him up, and there is a fairly recent headline from the 3rd of May saying Chris Crocker's Twitter claimed he's being blackmailed, addicted to coke, and going into rehab. So get well soon, mate.
So if that's your idea of doing well, Sean, then you're a sick individual.
Well, I didn't know that, obviously.
Chris Crocker's having a wonderful old time. What's this?
Yeah,
Addicted
it's
to coke.
fantastic.
Over.
No, he's got an eating disorder as well, I think.
Anyway.
He's also done porn, apparently, according to this. So
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean,
like
I said,
I'm just saying it.
Sean is his biggest fan, so that's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that at all. It's
it's work, mate.
I was going to let's get on to something else before I say something.
What have we been playing? Right, Matt, are we gonna do the Oculus Quest stuff?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do the Oculus Quest
Can
stuff.
I get my stuff out the way first?
Well, it's not like
sorry,
getting
you've got somewhere to be.
Yeah. Get it out of the way. We're all in this together, James. But
What
do you want to get out of the...
You got like a massive VR like thing, haven't you?
We've got a whole. Well, you were supposed to finish. What was it, Blood and Truth, and we were going to have a whole VR special.
Yeah, what happened to that?
And you've
that
fucked
hasn't
that
happened yet.
up.
That hasn't happened. Yeah,
No, it
'cause
hasn't.
I've been still stuck in all my other stuff, so it will.
Well, go on, tell us about your other stuff. Then.
You want to get out of the way.
So
All right,
good
so I just thought,
ruined our
give
segment.
No, because I didn't want it to be like you do your whole thing, and then by the end of that, everyone's just like, "Oh, yeah, switch off now. I've had all this," and then
What you're saying is you don't want us to bore everyone first.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
you don't want us to,
basically.
like it'd be like a really shit compare. You're like, oh, great, you've really fucked the audience now. They're not up for this gig at all.
I'm giving you build up. Like to
Go on, James.
Your support act, and I mean, I'm clearly not in the main event. Okay, James, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing Super Mario Maker 2. Because
Next.
I finished off.
Okay, talk about last week. Yeah.
Well, I finished the story mode anyway, and it is fantastic. It's just the right side of difficult, and it's just so much like really good variety. And it's mostly because the end game stuff is so good. Like you think you finished it once you've rebuilt the castle, but then obviously there's just tons of more content after that, and it's great. It's very good. But the only thing I'm worried about with it at the moment is that there is already a lot of garbage online. And I'm still concerned about the discoverability of finding cool stuff. It still seems to be...
When you say garbage, I mean, it's called rubbish, but when there's lots of garbage, what do you mean like
trash?
Like trash. There's always trash online. Good God.
See, I always thought that was one of those words that's kind of like interchangeable. Like you can use it or not use it or whatever. I mean, like truck or lorry. Like what do you say? Like,
sorry,
is it
what was
truck
the option you cut out? What or lorry?
Was it a truck or is it a lorry?
Yeah, I guess, well... A truck, I would be like a 18-wheeler. A lorry, that could be like a smaller transit van.
Yeah, but is one of them like...
Wait,
that's
what?
nonsense.
No,
that doesn't make any sense.
A van can be a lorry.
No. Okay, no. So, no, that
doesn't make any sense.
No, okay, so truck. If I think truck, I think like there's huge, like big rigs or, there's huge international things. And when we say lorry, that could be in the smaller known, but like larger than a transit van. That's what I class as a lorry.
Okay, but you would use both, like, sort of interchangeably, or you'd use both of them, yeah?
Yeah, I think it would depend on the size of the vehicle.
But you see,
I'm still not off. Matt thinking of Ford Transit is a fucking lorry.
What I meant was larger than a Ford Transit.
Okay.
Yeah, but my point being is that one is like American English, one is British English, but you're still comfortable about using both of those in general. And garbage is one of those words I would also consider to be, I'd be comfortable using that word even though I'm not American.
Really? I would never use that in a million years. I mean, Would you use the word trash?
I don't know. Take out the trash? No, I probably wouldn't say that. I'd take out the rubbish.
Yeah, Chen, I'm taking out the
Take out
trash.
the rubbish. Yeah. Take out the garbage.
Yeah, what? Yeah, garbage. Anyway, so in what when you say garbage, what do you mean, like garbage levels?
Yeah, as in like rubbish levels. There you go.
Point says trash levels.
Yeah, there's loads of trash levels, garbage levels, whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of those online. I mean, my son's been pumping them out as well. Like, there's been
so your son's part of the problem.
He is part of the problem. I mean, I've been trying to. I mean, although recently the other day he did one which I thought was genuinely not bad, and I was quite happy to tweet it. But yeah, there's also been. I've been trying to get him off the idea of just like filling it with everything possible, because that's the the thing that people often do. But yeah, it's not about.
Is this how supportive you are of all your son's creative endeavours? Or is it...
Yeah, I mean, I don't obviously say to him, this is rubbish. Like,
You just say it's garbage.
I just say it's garbage. Yeah, it's but no, it's he does need some guidance with it, because I try to be constructive about it. It's fine. But it's still good. It's still a very good game, and I would almost say it's worth buying just for the story mode, but maybe there's also just so much other content that it's also fine. But I mean, the main game I've been playing this week is Judgment, because I've finally sort of got into that. And as I said last week, I mean, the first 2 or 3 hours of it really aren't great, and Chapter 1 does a really poor job, I feel, of introducing the game, because the pacing is really bad, and it feels like they felt the need to like introduce all of the new gameplay mechanics into the first chapter so that people sort of knew where the game was going, but because it front loads all of that, it's not very fun. Because the new mechanics they've introduced like tailing people, so basically following people, and the way it's done is not great. It's really tedious and kind of ridiculous. Like, I was sitting there playing it, and my wife was like, Jen was sitting there watching it, and she was just like, "This is ridiculous. Like, he's obviously seen you." And I'm like, I know, but it's a game, isn't it? And it's not. It just goes on for too long, and it's just not very fun.
Yeah,
and
that stuff is annoying. But what can you do? I mean, I remember in Last of Us, when like Ellie was like behind you and she was blatantly not in cover, and then he was like, "Oh, I wonder where they are." But you were in cover, so that's fine. Yeah, Ellie was literally like poking out in the middle of this like area. I mean, I don't know what else they can do. I mean,
the only way out is with
they
better
could
AI, isn't it?
Like if it was realistic, it'd just be annoying as fuck.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So they had to do that, but then there's like drone races as well, so you can like use drones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole point of it is because you're a detective in this, so you can use drones to like spy on people and things like that. And it sounds like it should be good, but the drones don't control very well, and I found it quite frustrating like to control them. And there's also like photography is another major part, because like you do stuff like photograph like cheating husbands and stuff like that, and that's okay. It's okay, but it's just not. It's not what makes the game enjoyable, and unfortunately they just cram all that into the first chapter to try and, I guess, to give you an idea of like what it's going to be like. But I mean, I don't know. As I said, as for a detective game, it makes sense, but it's also boring. That's kind of the problem. And I don't know. I was also not sold on the main character either, like Yagami, because for me, nobody can ever really replace Kiryu, and because I just loved the way that he reacted with the world, like all the time, like even to the point where when you got into fights with people, every time with Kiryu, like somebody like swung for him, he just looked just really bored by it. Looked like, oh, this is going to be another fight I've got to fight in, and that I really love that. I thought that was fantastic. But with this is the other thing, is that like Yagami the detective gets attacked in the same way as you walk around, and it just doesn't feel right, at least in the first chapter, because with Kiryu there was always a feeling there was a reason why he was being attacked. It's because there's rival Yakuza, or there's bums trying to beat him up or whatever because of what he is. Whereas with a detective, you're thinking, why is he getting beaten up? It doesn't make any sense why people would just start on you as you're walking around.
Maybe it works for the sun.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's obviously that, because he's done like absolutely nothing. But then, I mean, after Chapter 2, it does begin to make more sense because of the events that happen. And it was at that point, when I sort of got about midway through Chapter 2, I began to realise that I was actually really, really enjoying myself again. And mostly because the story like really picked up, and the new characters they introduced like added these extra layers to the world of the Yakuza as well, which I found interesting, because usually in the other games, the way that they've been presented as being from like Kiryu's perspective or from other Yakuza's perspective, and so it's interesting to see it from the outside instead, and that's what I found sort of to be pretty good with this. And it's also just because the city. I mean, the city is fun to walk around as usual, and you get involved in like the usual sort of like friendship events, like helping people translate English. Like there's this really weird side game where you had to help test coffee. Like you spend time in a coffee shop and you have to like work out what the flavour is and all this kind of stuff. And
love it.
I mean, the reason you do this is because then later on, like, you build up the friendship level, and then when you get in, like, brawls outside, they help you. Like, there's this one, like, the convenience store, this guy, like, just chucks, like, scalding, sort of fish balls at this guy, and you, like, force it down the guy's throat, and it makes him, like, choke, and it's pretty fun. It's just...
so it's still got that humour, it's still got, like, the mad...
Yeah. There's a really there's this really fantastic one whereby, like, if you do like a special attack on one of the characters after you've unlocked it, it will like shove the guy into a Yakuza's car and then like just jam him in the middle of these two massive thugs, and he just looks terrified and just drives off, and that's him gone. And he just looks really sheepish and scared. It's really good. But I mean, I'm 8 to 9 hours in, but already, like, I feel like I've experienced a lot of content so far, and it's just, I know there's more to come. And although I'm still not entirely sold on Yagami as like the protagonist, it's the other characters I feel that are making the story for me. But the other thing that's really weird is that Chen recognised the actor who's playing Yagami, because it turns out she was a big fan of his, and she started watching as well, because she was just nice. Like, it's really, because it's a guy from, I mean, he's like in his 50s now, but like they've modelled him as if he was a bit younger still. And yeah, she was like, "Oh, it's him," and she looked him up, and she was like, "Oh, it is him," and she was really excited. You know?
So this is a new guy. This is a new guy that replaced the previous guy that got done with coke, or is this?
No. This is just the main character. I mean, the guy that they replaced. I wouldn't say it's really obvious that he's been replaced, but the original character actor did look better, I thought, when I looked it up. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to know what to say further beyond this, because I mean, it's another Yakuza style game, but the detective stuff, I wouldn't say that it really adds significantly more to the formula. It's still, the star of this is still the city, and it's still really fun to like walk around it and engage with people. And the pacing is still, pretty good.
So it's the same city, right, as the previous games you played in?
Exactly the same, yeah.
So, but obviously, what, are they like new shops, or is it moved around, or is it exactly the same layout?
It's exactly the same layout, because that hasn't changed, but there are, I mean, in some ways, see, this will sound like a massive, like, apologist kind of thing to say, but it is one of those places which is nice to go back to because you feel comfortable there, because it's like, I know the layout really well by this point, and there are places that you can go to that you couldn't, there's like shops, as you said, that you can go to that you couldn't go to before. It's nice to, go around and find the places you've been to, previously. And, I mean, every time they seem to be adding new layers of sort of accessibility to different areas, that you couldn't really get to before. They seem to be just fleshing it out with every release, and that's kind of interesting, the way they've done that. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that. I mean, one of the things I liked about Yakuza 6 was they did add like completely new places to go to, and I've heard that like with 5, there are like significantly different areas where there's the different parts of Japan and everything you go to, which it would be good if they did that. But this still feels good because you still see the city from a different perspective, because you're based somewhere else. The types of missions you're doing are quite different from the other series, so I do feel like I'm seeing it in a different light, as it were.
That's good. And do you think it's a bit more serious than the Yakuza games? I haven't played one, but I've heard about all that, the crazy stories and side missions and stuff. It's got that exact same humour, has it?
Yeah, I mean, the core story, like the mainline story, is still the same kind of like sort of style as Yakuza, because the thing is with the mainline story with that is that generally they are really serious. Actually, it's just the side mission stuff which is really bizarre and weird and fun, and it's the same with this. I mean, I know that there's a character that I'm going to come up with soon who's called like Ass Ketchum as like one of the like characters you've got to like right, because he's a bad person because he's been doing bad things, and there's loads of stuff like that. But the mainline story is still like played very straight, but I like that. And but even I mean, there's even like, because of the detective style of this, one of the other things they've added to this compared with like Yakuza is that you can like make choices, like dialogue choices as well, when you're like investigating like the crime scene that's going on, and that's a lot more detailed. Like you have to like you gain like evidence as you like go around crime scenes, and then you can use this to confront people later. So there's almost like a Phoenix Wright style to it as well, which obviously appeals to me. It's that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's so far it does take a few hours to get going, but now it's really picked up, and I'm very much enjoying it. And do you think for someone who maybe hasn't played a Yakuza game, or they were maybe overwhelmed by the sheer number of Yakuza games, this is a good one to dip your feet into, or would you still recommend maybe another Yakuza game to go for now instead? I still think Zero is probably the first one to go for, but I still would say this is also worth... I mean, compared with all the others, because it doesn't have the baggage of the other series at all, it would be worth looking at this, but just being aware that the first couple of hours really aren't great. Like, they're really quite tedious. It's not a good start at all. But then it really does pick up and becomes significantly more interesting, particularly as you start to learn more backstory about some of the characters. Then it becomes great. But
yeah, because obviously I've heard from you about how good Yakuza games are, but this not having 5 or 6 other games, I'm like, well, this is maybe a bit more tempting.
This might be worth a look, Matt. I think you probably like it, especially because you can mainline it as well. Like, you don't have to do all the other stuff either if you don't want to. Yeah. It's just, but again, just the beginning is not good. It's
are these games like graphically that impressive? Like, I feel like why is no one of these ones on Switch? Like,
no. I mean, especially now because it uses like the Dragon Engine, which was the same that was using like for Yakuza 6. There was what's it called, Digital Foundry did like a video of it recently of like showing like how impressive it is. Like it to the like there's all stuff like the cloud formations above you. They like cast shadows on the ground which look like the clouds. That are above you. There's also like, I mean, they've added like sort of vapor effects as well, like from like steam coming out of buildings. But that looks really good, like really good. And it's very impressive. The main characters in particular, like the motion capture is fantastic. Like they look like incredibly realistic. Other characters maybe not so much, but the ones that have had a lot of modelling done to them, they look great.
Because I know like Sega recently said in a comment, I'm not sure it was in line with it because of their financials, but they said they see Yakuza stuff as a multi-platform franchise. Is that the words they use? But obviously it's still pretty much on PlayStation.
If this turns up on Xbox, like at some point, that would be interesting, especially if it turns up on the Xbox One X, because it could probably... I mean, it could do with it. I mean, I'm playing it on a PS4 Pro, and there is occasional like slowdown, and like it gets a bit laggy sometimes, but not to the point where you really notice it that much. It's just like occasionally when you go into like big areas. But it'd be interesting to see if it does make the leap. Because there clearly is a market for these games, because they keep pumping them out now, which is really good. I'm still waiting for...
Microsoft want Japanese games, and this will be a good one. But I would want this sort of stuff on Switch, because I feel like... I mean, if it's too graphically impressive, then
it'd be nice, but it's not going to happen. No,
but the old ones were on PS3, though, weren't they? Like the old Yakuza games.
But they've significantly changed them now, like with the visual upgrades they've made to them. I mean, the game. Okay, so the earlier ones, like Yakuza 0, maybe 1. I know they were like made from like modified version of like the engine that was on PS3. But the more recent ones are like the Dragon Engine. I don't think it's very unlikely they'd be able to run, which would be a shame.
Damn.
But they would be good for that, because I often do find myself playing these handheld actually, like using Vita or whatever, because you don't, because I mean, it's a lot of this is like dialogue and watching cutscenes and stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter so much.
Awesome,
cool, right? Oculus Quest time. So, because Matt is an absolute hustler. He managed to blag us a review unit, which we don't get to keep. So I think that still makes us relatively unbiased. We do have to give it back. But yeah, we've been having a go on Oculus Quest stuff, haven't we?
We have,
Well, you have. I haven't.
I mean,
well, yeah, you haven't had your turn yet. It's Dave. Dave gets it next week. And then we'll see where we go from there.
But which is basically we'll have run out of time by that point. We've got to send
possibly.
Back.
Well, yeah, he's going to get well into PokerStars VR, and he's never going to leave. So that's you'll have to just go over there and just rip it off him. So if you're not familiar, this is the new Oculus VR headset that is entirely standalone, and they've done so. There's the Oculus Go before this, wasn't there?
Yes.
But that just had like one controller. It was basically like the Gear VR, which I've had with my Samsung phone. So there was like one little motion controller, whereas this is a lot closer to the real deal. So like 2 proper Oculus controllers with like grips and triggers and buttons and sticks and all the rest of it, and like full motion sensors and stuff. And I when you said oh yeah, it's a new headset and it's wireless, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, that's like pretty convenient, because when I'm playing on PSVR, like it like that, having that cable run out the back of your head can be a bit irritating. Like you're aware of it, and you most games bollock you when you turn away from the camera or whatever. I wasn't expecting this to be quite so good.
Yeah, the main difference, not only is it wireless, but it also doesn't require a PC. So it's like it's a double whammy. It doesn't require a big gaming PC as previous like Vive and Oculus headsets have.
It's fully standalone. Like I took it to my brother's the other week, so I went to go visit him, and he sort of said like, I don't know about like if we're gonna have room for it. I said, man, we can just take it out in the garden if you want. Like, it's really not really not a problem. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, the room scale stuff is fascinating, isn't it, Matt?
Oh, it really is. Yeah. I mean, I've played Vive and Oculus, so I have used room scale stuff in the past. Although this being fully wireless just takes it up a notch. I will say, like, this is I've played obviously tons of PSVR at home, but that is mostly standing or sitting. Some games on PSVR might allow you to move maybe a step forward or back, but that's pretty much about as far as you're going to get. And with this being full room scale, I've realised the limitation on my lounge just isn't big enough for this sort of thing. So I have been meaning to take it outside. I need to go to like a sports hall or like a massive room, because I'm laughing.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. Like, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it would be absolutely class, and we'll cover the games in a minute. But some of the games we played will be amazing. But with PSVR, I never had that because it wasn't room scale. I never felt a limitation because I was mostly standing on the spot or sitting. Yeah. But now this is room scale, and I can move around, and it's wireless. I'm actually finding it. I'm feeling many more limitations because I haven't quite got the size of the room that I need to really truly sort of enjoy this.
Like I've just about
the room scale stuff is really fantastic how it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say I've just about got the sort of 2x2 meters like recommended free space, and that's after like clearing away loads of Isaac's toys and stuff.
I'm just beneath that.
Yeah, the way it handles it is absolutely fascinating. So when you first put the headset on, you're like looking, so it's got all cameras on the front of it, which is how it does some of the tracking and stuff. So you're viewing like a 3D image through the cameras, and you feel like a fucking cyborg, which is really cool. And then basically you use the controllers, like you just look around and you just draw like on the floor, like where the free space is. And then from then on, whatever game you're playing or whatever menu you're in or whatever, it remembers that space. So that if you start moving towards a wall in real life, it like appears as like a wireframe in front of you. So you're always warned when you're about to step out of the boundary, basically. Which means
it's so freeing, isn't it? It's so
it's unbelievable. Yeah. Like the difference it makes, because you're just like, right, well, unless I see that, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I can literally run full pelt. I mean, like, so my lounge is like it's a fairly sort of standard rectangle, but I've got like couches and stuff. So I would use the controller to paint basically like the space, basically like near a door or next to a cabinet or next to a couch. So the space I paint with these controllers, my safe space, won't be a standard sort of square or rectangle. It will be an oddly shaped thing. But the fact it's fully wireless, and I can literally like run from one corner to the other and feel fully safe because I know I'm not going to run into a door or a couch or a TV because it comes up, and like it's amazingly freeing to have that sort of that sense of I can run anywhere in this space, and I have, my lounge isn't tiny. It's just not sports hall size.
Furniture in it.
So it's amazing, and also like that with wireless. I mean, when I had I got PSVR, of course, but because it's like tethered with all the cables, you never feel, even if it was room scale, you wouldn't really want to be running around because you got this headset on and the cables. But it's just it's just something else having room scale.
Can I ask a question? Would it be possible to just play out in the garden? Could you do that?
Yeah.
You can,
Absolutely, yeah. Like it doesn't like because it is just essentially a mobile device. It's essentially like a smartphone in it. Like it's in terms of the innards, like it is just a totally standalone. Like it synchronizes with your phone. Like that's how you can you can access like the store and stuff on your phone, and then basically it's completely independent.
And the thing about the Guardian, it's like you put the headset on and it basically remembers if you're in the same room, it remembers it. You don't have to set up every time. Unless you maybe like change the lighting, in which case then I think it might ask you to reset it. But if you go back to the same room and do it, it's the same. I've obviously got my lounge set up, but I've also got my office set up because even though my office is like it was like a box room, I can still like paint like a stationary. Well, if you can't paint a big old room scale area to play in, you can set it to the stationary mode, and that like sort of that has like essentially like a arm's width circle around you, so you can actually play this in tiny spaces. I can play games in my office where I wouldn't obviously ever have the space for PSVR, even though PSVR is strictly pretty much a standing experience, because this doesn't require cameras or anything. It's all got it built in. You can play it anywhere really. And for games like Beat Saber, I can play it in my tiny box room. I never thought I'd ever be able to play VR on this because it's far too tiny for PSVR. It's amazing. But yeah, but the fact that you put this headset on, you don't even have to turn the headset on because it basically, as soon as you put it over your head, it all automatically turns on. And it remembers the Guardian. And you can basically go from getting out of the box to in a game in maybe between 30 and 60 seconds. It's crazy how quick it is.
That's the other thing I've been really surprised by is how quickly, like how much more willing I am to just sort of dip in and out of it rather than, like I've always said, so with PSVR, it's like I will set aside like, right, I'm going to have like a VR hour or whatever, because it's not that PSVR isn't a huge pain in the arse, especially like I've got the second model where it's just basically like one cable, and it's fine, but like
it still feels like a faff, doesn't it? And it's that, and it's also the fact that when you turn the PS4 on, if it's not in standby mode, it takes ages to boot up anyway, and it's just
and then you have to figure out like sort of adding controllers and whereas this with this, like you put the headset on, like even if you don't even remember where the controllers are, it just shows you like without you having to look in real life.
The fact that the controllers are modelled in 3D space and you look around, there they are.
Yeah, it's just so liberating, the whole thing.
Yeah, but I was never like truly bothered by all the setup for PSVR. It's annoying, it's not instant, but I was never really that bothered. But this is literally on your head, 30 seconds or so, and you're in a game. And like the other night, I came back after a few drinks in town, and I just thought, I'll play some like SUPERHOT or Beat Saber. And I there's no way I'll be bothered to like get the PSVR out if I was like after a few beers. But I was like, I'll put it on. It's such a different experience just being able to put it on your head and it's there. And the controllers are excellent as well. The controllers are so clever. So every single button on the controller is analog, and it's also like touch sensitive. And so basically there's this. It's like a little it's a thing to grip basically, and around that is like what looks like a halo type thing, and that also I guess like judges where your fingers are. But crucially, all the buttons, of which is like an analog stick, two face buttons, a trigger, and something next to your palm, all of those can assess how much, if you're touching them or not. And so with that, games understand then if you're holding one finger out, or you're got a clenched fist, or you're swearing, or whatever. So because of with your fingers on those buttons, it knows where your hands are and what they're doing. And again, that's obviously like a massive difference, a massive leap above anything we've got on PSVR, of course. Have you found that to have some cool experiences, Sean?
I mean, like, should we get on to games?
Yeah.
Or should we?
Can I ask you one question though about this? What is the visual fidelity like?
Well, I was going to say, so obviously, as I say, it's essentially, like smartphone inside it. So I don't think it's not quite up there with PSVR in terms of, texture quality and stuff like that.
So that worries me a bit.
Like,
what was there going to be about? Yeah, sure, no.
I was just going to say, like, I haven't found myself caring at any point. I think the games I've played on it look fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's up there PSVR, and because it's such a high resolution PSVR, I think it looks better. And like, so today I played some Beat Saber, but then actually I played Beat Saber on PSVR, and then I quickly went and tried it on Quest, and it basically the Quest screen is just super high resolution compared to PSVR, and so it feels better in that regard. And some of the games I've played look utterly fantastic. I mean, I would say it's definitely PSVR level, if not slightly better, and maybe that's mostly because of the high resolution screen.
But is that when you're playing games that are sort of like more heavily stylized, like compared with like stuff that's on PSVR?
I mean, I've played games I've already got on PSVR, SUPERHOT and Beat Saber, but I played other games which aren't on PSVR, and it all just feels really solid. I mean, I think the screen's high resolution, that's better. Screen door effect, which is where you basically see in between the pixels, it's super minimal, just like PSVR, which is good.
That's true.
You also get things like God rays, which I think is because of the style of lenses, and basically what that means is you see like lights. I guess that's sort of basically like light maybe in and around the visor. It's not off-putting, it's just like it's just something that you get used to with these different style of lenses versus PSVR. But I would say I was actually really, really impressed with like graphically. I wouldn't say it's significantly lower than PSVR, and actually the resolution makes such a huge difference.
Not enough to bother me. I'd read things about so one of the games I'll talk about in a minute, Robo Recall. Apparently, I've not looked at the visuals on the other versions, but apparently it is quite a step down on this. But then I suppose that's comparing it to the full-on Oculus version, which is
down to Vive and Oculus. I guess that's
of course it will
but
be.
I think PSVR. I think it's. In my personal opinion, I think it's actually slightly above it. Obviously, I played loads of great PSVR games and games like Farpoint and Astrobot and other games which aren't on this, so it's very hard to compare. The only games I have played on both are incredibly stylized games like SuperHot and Beat Saber. I would say they look better on Quest than PSVR, but I think fundamentally that's not necessarily like texture quality or frames a second. I think it is really, for me personally, it's down to like the high resolution screen. And I felt like when I've been in games and I've like held my controller as close as I can to my face, I feel like there's less blurring. I feel like I can really get up close to something, and it's really super sharp, which is excellent. I will say in terms of headset itself,
Matt, it's a good job everybody's golf isn't on this. You'd be terrified getting up close to those blokes.
I mean, I'm fine as long as they're not like making me, force feed them chocolate on the bench. I'm here to play golf. I'm not here to. Anyway, I will say, like headset-wise, I don't think this is as comfortable as PSVR. What do you say, Sean?
I totally agree. Like the straps around the back and stuff, there's like no actual padding on them, is it? They're just sort of rubber.
No, so it's basically like you have like the front, the helm, the goggle type area, like the front bit, which is where the lenses are, and everything else is basically there's like a strap that goes over top of your head and a strap that goes around the crown of your head, and that's it. You can like adjust the size of that, but I feel like with PSVR it feels much more like putting a cap on, because it's much more substantial, and even put on PSVR tonight,
it's very like when you first get used to it, it's quite heavy at the front as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which again makes sense because it's got way more internal stuff going on than like just a headset that plugs into another machine. But yeah, it is weird. I tell you what, I was really impressed by, we've not mentioned, you can plug headphones in, but you might just not bother because it's got to. What are they? Are they just like highly directional speakers?
I wasn't sure if that
headphones?
was like the bone conductive. Headphones. Yeah, it basically feels like magic at first because you put a headset on.
It's fucking unreal.
Not only if you like put a headset on and you haven't got a PC and there's no cables, but also you're hearing sounds. And I'm like, hey, where's this even coming from?
Like, really clearly. Like, it's insane how good it is. Like, I'm sure, so if I was, like, having a Beat Saber session or whatever, I'd probably make the effort to put the headphones in because obviously the music is a huge part of it. But, like, everything else I've played, I've been quite happy just with the speakers in it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and
it's really nice because again, it's with VR, like, I like being immersed, but I also like to think that if someone opened the door into the room or shouted my name, I would still hear them. And whereas putting earphones in, like, you don't necessarily get that. Whereas with this, it's like I feel immersed, and yet if there was something outside of the game that needed my attention, I would still be able to hear it.
Yeah.
Which it's just that liberation thing. It's like I'm not completely sealing myself off. Like it's just so comfortable in general to use.
I mean, I quite like being fully sealed off in VR, but actually, it's really loud. It can be as quiet as you want or as loud as you want, but there's nothing in your ears. It felt like a bit of magic when I first had that. I was like, how's this even working? But
Yeah, like in terms of quality, it's fine. Like there's not a huge amount of bass there. Which again is why I say like I think something like Beat Saber, I'd make the effort to put the headphones in. But yeah, generally speaking, it is absolutely fine and really impressive. And again, just for that ease of just like you just put it on, like that's it. You've done.
I don't think it's got it's got like volume controls on the actual device, but it's also got the IPD measurement slider, which is basically that's the interpupillary distance, and basically that essentially that basically like you can change it on type PSVR depending on how far away your eyes are from each other. And this one's got it physically on the actual headset. And when I first saw it, I thought it's not going to be rubbish because what if you accidentally knock it? But actually, it's really fantastic. I mean, I typically just have it right at the end and it's fine. Whereas in PSVR, you got to go into software and take pictures of your eyes and stuff, and it's really unwieldy. I haven't really felt the need to change this, but I guess if you're like taking this off and other people playing it, they can change it within a second. And I actually think I think that's a really good decision. Actually, just have it there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But anyway, the games.
I mean, I was just going to say it is £400.
Yeah, it's 400 quid. So it's 400 quid for the one we were saying was like 64 gig base unit. That's 400 quid.
Yeah.
I think it goes to like 128 and maybe one more for up to 500 or so, 500 quid. But it's 400 quid for like a fully sort of, it's just one unit and you don't need anything else. I guess I'll come to my thoughts towards the end.
Can I ask you one other question before you start on the games? Have you played any games that are new games that haven't been out on other platforms yet?
Yes.
Really?
Okay. Sorry. I mean, as in like it's brand new exclusive to Quest.
No, just as in stuff that hasn't been around for ages, like SUPERHOT and things like that.
I mean, I've played stuff which is on Oculus Quest as well, but and I sort of get the impression it's like it's the Oculus family, so games will come out on both. Any game that might come on Rift, it will also be out on Quest. I don't know if there are any Quest exclusive games, but I've played
there's
games
Oculus
here
originals, isn't there? But yeah, I mean, your fear is not unfounded, James. Like looking at the store, there is loads of stuff you will already be familiar with through PSVR or Oculus or whatever. So yeah, like I think it's definitely like if I was looking at buying one, I think sort of support going forward would be a big deal. But then if I did, if I did have one of these for keeps, I would probably be buying stuff on it instead of PSVR.
Well, yeah, sure. So it's one of those things where it's like if you don't already own like VR equipment, this is probably the thing to go for. Unless I mean, PSVR
like if you've already got PSVR,
stuff.
then like don't go mad. Like, but if you've been waiting to jump on VR, but you haven't liked the sound of like it being a bit unwieldy or whatever. I mean, obviously, eventually, like one day these will get cheaper, but like this is how it is going to work in future, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say my thoughts at the end, but I'm also saying now. Basically, I think this feels like VR 2.0 for me. This feels like such a game changer, being wireless, you don't need a big PC. Like even simple things I've done before, like you sort of forget. Oh, there's no cables here. And it's like. Yeah, room scale, no PC and wireless. Like I've done things, just like simple things. I've like walked up and down the room to look at something in a game. I'm like, this feels mad. I knew PSVR, and I tried, Vive Noctis before PSVR, and so I knew what room scale was like, and I knew PSVR was like a much more pared down experience, but I still had fantastic games and experiences on it. But yeah, this feels like a total game changer, really. Hopefully the games will come and more incredible experiences will follow. But yeah, this absolutely feels like the future. Like, so PSVR 2 has to be wireless, I think.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm curious about, because it's like it sounds like the tech is absolutely there and sounds fantastic. But then the reason that I've enjoyed PSVR is because there's been quite a lot of really good games that have come out on that. And I'm just wondering, does this have the same level of quality? Is there stuff like Blood and Truth on there? Is there stuff like Astrobot on there? Do you sort of
mean, at this point, I'll say no. And I think even like for all the years of Vive and Oculus, like PSVR has the library that I don't think those have. And so, will that happen? Obviously, Oculus has its own studios. Vive have their own studios. You would hope so. I think there's more of a commitment to that on Sony's side. So I don't know, but tech wise, yeah, this absolutely feels like the future, and this feels like a massive step up from PSVR because it's wireless, because it's room scale, and so this gets me really excited for PSVR 2, hoping that it will have the good controllers, or controllers much better than we're currently used to on PSVR, inside out tracking like this one's got, maybe wireless. It'd be amazing. I mean, you're still good. I think you're still going to obviously need a PS5. So it won't be quite the same as this, but if it's wireless and it's got some decent pads, and also the game and software library that Sony have worked on up to now on PSVR, it makes it super exciting for the future. But totally. Anyway, I guess we'll be on to get on to games.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got a couple that I've really delved into. One of them being SUPERHOT VR.
So had you played this on PSVR previously?
I had, yeah. And this was like this was interesting because obviously, yeah, so this is a game I'd already played on PSVR and like really loved it. Like not a single complaint about playing this on PSVR whatsoever. But playing it on the Quest, it was, again, it's that freedom thing. So, I mean, does anyone need SUPERHOT explaining to them? I imagine not.
You might as well do. It was a quick thing,
I suppose, yeah. So basically think like first-person shooter, but where time only moves when you do. So like people can shoot at you and like the bullets are like super slow moving through the air. So like there's, this opportunity to like dodge, bullets and stuff. But then also it's quite free in terms of like, so, if you punch someone and they drop a gun, you can just reach up, grab it out of the air and then start shooting people with it and then chuck it at someone else and then grab a wine glass off a table and throw that at them. And, this really nice sense of the world sort of being malleable. And yeah, again, so playing it PSVR, absolutely loved it. Playing it on Oculus Quest, I'm moving around. I'm looking like, sort of to one side and be like, oh, there's like some cover down there. I'll just walk over and crouch behind it.
Yeah, it's crazy you can do that.
Yeah, because each level in SUPERHOT VR, like you pretty much, it's not like a lot of VR games where you can sort of teleport around. This is like every level is just you stood in one spot. Except now you do have a limited amount of movement. So yeah, I ended up just finishing that in one session.
Brilliant.
Felt like I was going to die afterwards. It was like.
Oh man, that
because it's
last
quite an
level,
intense game anyway.
That last level on PSVR killed me. It took me ages to do that on PSVR because it's really difficult. But if you can move around a lot more, maybe it's a little bit easier. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah, there was certainly a couple of bits I was really struggling with, but yeah, it was proper good fun.
Yeah, I've also finished SUPERHOT on PSVR and absolutely loved it. I thought it was one of the best just core gameplay experiences you can get in VR. It's just you feel like an absolute badass. You feel like sort of a Matrix style thing or John Wick. You just feel amazing when you're dodging bullets and shooting people and turning around and grabbing a knife and throwing it at another guy. It's amazing. But and then I played this when I came back half cut on like Thursday night, and after a couple of beers, it's even better. You're like, so again, it wasn't intended to come back. I wasn't saying I'll go home and play some VR. I just thought. Well, it's so quick, I can just put it on my head and in 30 seconds I'm in the game. I was like, oh, SUPERHOT, I'll give that a go. So I was just there in my lounge, in my pants, sweating my ass off playing this game, and it's just absolutely, it's just so good. I'm going to play this through again, and I have no qualms about doing that, and being fully wireless. But, the fact you can move and even just things like, I mean, maybe it's because I maybe had a couple, but I would maybe lean over and maybe sort of fall to the ground, but I'll turn around and fire a shot. And yeah, absolutely stunning game. It's still good. And with it being fully wireless, it just makes it even better, personally.
Yeah, totally. The other one that I've spent a lot of time on, and I've actually, finished as well. It was Robo Recall Unplugged. So this has been around since 2017, I think.
Yeah, it's been out a while, on Rift.
Yeah. So this is... a game in a lot of ways quite similar to SUPERHOT, but you're going around a city and there's robots running at you with guns, and the joke is that they are defective because they've started murdering everyone, and you are recalling them, which means shooting them. And oh my god, it's so much fun. I started out you teleport around, which is really nicely handled. You just point where you want to go with your left controller, and then you tilt the stick, and then so where you're pointing dictates where you go, and where you tilt the stick dictates where you'll be facing and then you just let go of the stick, and then that's it. You teleport, and you're facing the direction you wanted. Takes a bit of getting used to, but after a while, you'll just be like, teleporting around constantly. And yeah, so you have like 2 guns like on your hips, and then 2 on your back, which like they respawn like every, I think it's like, I don't know, like 10, 20 seconds, something like that. So yeah, you might you'll have like 2 pistols on your hips, so you'd be like, pulling them out, like, bang, bang, like shooting people, and then like someone might come in close, you reach up onto your back, get your shotgun out, and blow them away. And like you'll play it like that for quite a while, and then after a while you realise that like there's a half decent like melee combat game there as well. So like, yeah, you'll eventually get to the point where you're just like teleporting behind robots, like grabbing them, fucking pulling their heads off, chucking them at someone else, like smashing them into the ground. Like it's one of those games. It's like, well, it's a good thing this is robots, because I would definitely feel like a psychopath playing this. Because,
you can pull every limb off basically.
Yeah, you can pull a robot's arm off and then beat it around the head with it or whatever. It's just, but it's just sort of cartoony enough that you don't feel like a weirdo doing it, and you get more points for being creative, so it's fine. And you get points for things like there's enemies that like run at you and explode, so if you can like manage to grab one of them last second, chuck them at an enemy, they're basically like hand grenades. There's like larger robots that you destroy the weak points, and you can jump on the back, you like rip this panel off the top, and then you can control them for like 30 seconds, shooting lasers everywhere. I've enjoyed this so much. And I'm not even like particularly good at it yet. Like there's still like each level has like loads of objectives. There's like, some are just like score targets, but then there'll be something like, you can like when enemies shoot at you, you can grab the bullets out of the air and just throw them back at them. Or like if you've got a gun out, you can
that's absolutely brilliant. Like because the bits they fire are going pretty slow, but also these there are also these quite large balls which you need to grab and throw back. And one of the best things I love about it is like if you're running out of ammo in either of your guns, you could chuck a gun at an enemy and it sort of bounces off them, and when you catch it, it's reloaded. So that's like a really, it feels amazing. It's like, wow, I'm out of rounds. I think actually it's close to like 5 seconds for them to reload on your back or your hips. But you're like, well, I want this shotgun because there's like some other guys running at me. I'll just like throw the shotgun at an enemy. It'll bounce back to me, and I'll like fire it. And it does just enough
brilliant. Like it plays with the flow of time just enough, doesn't it, to make you feel cool as hell. So as you say, when an enemy shoots at you, when the bullet's far away, it's quite quick. But then as it gets closer, it starts to slow down. Then you can just like, whoa, grab that, chuck it back. But then, as you say, when you ping like a gun off an enemy, it'll bounce off them, and then as it sort of gets close to you again, it slows down. So you can just like, hey, grab that and carry on shooting. It's honestly, like it makes me feel like a child. Like I probably look like such a fucking idiot playing this. But it's just, like it's I think it might be the most fun I've had playing a VR game.
Wow. Yeah. Also, you've got Gastrobot finish, Sean.
I do need to get Gastrobot.
But it is immense fun, and like this does feel like if you love the sort of combat SUPERHOT, it feels like that done in a different way. I feel it sort of plays on a lot of the same aspects, but it feels like it's obviously a much more complex combat model with the fact that pretty much everything, every enemy you see has a handle which you could use to grab and throw bullets back, and it's like a really it's like a really great and cool looking game. It's got almost like sort of comic book effects in terms of like scores popping up.
It tries to be funny, which doesn't really land. Like the main boss in it is this robot that's plugged itself into the internet and it's gained sentience, and it's like flying around and it's like cat pictures, memes, OMG, and it's like
I wasn't too bothered about that.
But other than that, it's fucking great. But Matt, you've played loads more, haven't you?
Yeah, did you play any Vader Immortal?
I didn't. No,
you should play that. It's only like an hour or so. But
okay.
So this is made by like the official. So there's this Star Wars I think it's basically like Industrial Light and Magic have their own like game studio, and they're doing VR stuff, and they've made a game called Vader Immortal. It's only like an hour or so experience, but I thought this was really, really good. And I've always thought Darth Vader was like, cool character and that, but It's actually really scary when you see him like walking down the corridor towards you, and then like, and he's like, "Fucking hell, this guy's massive." And I was actually quite intimidated.
It was only a demo, but yeah, there's that Creed game.
Oh, okay, I've tried the demo actually.
As in Apollo, not the band. And yeah, I haven't got enough to say about it, but. Yeah, just that, like, when your opponent just walks up to you and there is just that sense of, like, oh my god, I'm going to get the piss kicked out of me.
I played one of those, I think, is that one I've got, actually, because that's on PSVR, isn't it, that one?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I've played that, and it is quite weird, actually, like, standing up and then, but also, punching people in the game is very fun. And, when you knock someone down, it's pretty cool. It's good.
Yeah, actually, at the start of a Robo Recall, there's a bit where you're basically in the street and loads of like robots are around you watching this like news report. News report. And basically everyone's outside essentially like a TV shop, and all the TVs in the window are saying like robots are running wild, and there's loads of robots basically like going towards the window to watch the TV, and you're like in and amongst the crowd, and then they will realise, I guess they realise that you're there to like recall them, and they will turn around and I'm like, oh shit, hang on. And they will like run towards you and the screen goes black. I was like, well, that's actually quite terrifying.
Well, see, I wondered if that bit you were just like supposed to be a member of the public who just got fucking murdered by robots.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't twig that yet. But either way, I was like, oh, wow, this is it was quite scary. And yeah, in Vader Immortal, you obviously see Darth Vader, and when he came into the room, the door of this like room opened, and he saw like the silhouette of him, and he sort of like came down the hallway. I was like, oh my god, fucking hell! Like he's actually gonna get here in my face, and I was actually quite terrified. It's like the first time I ever thought Darth Vader was terrifying. But yeah, this game's so Vader Immortal. It's actually like a 3-part series. This is episode 1 so far. And basically, you're this droid, I think, and basically you're basically going through this landscape, and there's like a little bit of a story. It's only an hour long, so I'm certainly not going to ruin it. But it's got that weird thing, James, that you mentioned in Blood and Truth, is like you have to climb ladders, and it feels so strange. Because also with like the Oculus controllers, you're like gripping with all your fingers, all the various buttons. But yeah, having to like pull yourself up or like also lower yourself down from a ladder feels super strange in VR. It's got lightsaber battles, of course.
Are you doing that standing up though, Matt?
Yeah, I'm doing standing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Try doing it sitting down. It's even weirder. Like if you're sort of sitting there and then trying to you feel like you're lifting yourself up. It's very strange.
Yeah, I haven't actually done any sitting experiences at all in this game yet. In using Oculus.
How do you play PSVR though? Are you always standing when you play that?
No. On PSVR, I'm doing a lot like Astrobot. Obviously, I'm sitting down. Mm-hmm. But obviously, things like SUPERHOT, I'm standing up, and Beat Saber and stuff. But I feel like, but with this, maybe it's because I'm sort of still getting used to like the idea that I can stand up and run around. So I'm just. Have you done any sitting down experiences at all, Sean?
I haven't. No.
No. Yeah. But no. Yeah. Vader Immortal. It's got all the music you love from Star Wars. It's got a nice little story. The other like droids you meet are well written and interesting. It's a shame it's only short, but I'm definitely gonna play the other two. Hopefully, if they come out in the next few weeks. But yeah, I you get to like lightsaber battles and stuff, and it's really good. And Sean, you should definitely play it. Especially because it's so short. Yeah, you would absolutely love it, James. I wish. Hopefully, there can be an opportunity where you can get to try it. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Other than that, I'm playing a game called Shadowpoint, which is it's a puzzle game, sort of like The Witness-ish. It's not quite as complex as that. You basically go around, and basically, I think the story is this is a girl that's missing. And essentially, you visit various locations to try and find out where she is, and basically all these locations involve puzzles, often involving rotating shapes and objects in the world, and so light hits these objects and creates shapes, and you're basically trying to replicate shapes based on the light that's hitting these various objects. And you also get other things like a looking glass, and if you look through that whilst looking at this other statue, the statues turn around. There's loads of cool light puzzles like that, but I made like an hour or so into that, and I think that's a bit more of a longer experience. Play PokerStars VR. That's absolutely mad because you're just sitting down playing poker, and there's other real life people around the table, and they're all chatting. it's just mad. We just go in there and play poker, and like, the game of poker is fun anyway. You gradually peel up your cards to see what the two cards you've got, and you can pick up the chips with like these fantastic controllers and chuck them across. But everyone I was playing with, I'm not sure of every single game, but some of the games I've been playing, they've all got like every single person around the table has the mic. They're all like doing their own like hand gestures and stuff. It's just mad. It's just
were they nice people? Were they all right?
Well, so on my first game, like there's these two guys next to me, and maybe other people play like muted, or maybe they turn their mic off, but they're like, this guy next to us doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But I think I was on mute, or maybe I was too scared to talk, so I didn't say anything. But like they were like playing with each other, or like they were like juggling, or they were doing some mad stuff. And they're like, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing." And I was basically trying to work out the mechanics of the game, not of poker, not to play poker, but I was like what I should be pressing and so on and so forth. And I just like put all my money in, and I managed to win. And like everyone was like, but basically people weren't happy and they couldn't believe it. And then I left because I think at that point I was going to have to start talking, and I felt a bit conscious about it. But yeah, PokerStars it just felt crazy. There's always people around the table with mics. I played Beat Saber. That's still utterly stunning. I mean, I've only played a demo of it because I've got the whole full game on PSVR, and I didn't want to get the game. But again,
that's fair enough.
It's just absolutely class, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
It's
so
just
good.
So bloody
I'm really
good.
intrigued because they've said, that they have heard the criticism that like most of the music is like it's not all similar, but it's all like electronic stuff. Yeah. Apparently, the next DLC pack is going to answer that.
Oh, really?
So I'm intrigued. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah. It's made me want to get back and get back playing on PSVR. It obviously won't be as good because it's not fully wireless, but my god, that's just such a stunning game. And I've got a bunch of other games I'm hoping to talk about in the next 2 or 3 weeks because we've got some other stuff to talk about. But overall, I'm immensely impressed with Quest. I don't know what I was really expecting, but the fact it's fully wireless feels like a total game changer to me.
Yeah, totally. As I say, I mean, I haven't got 400 quid. I'm not going to run out and buy one, but it is very clearly like how you're going to get VR into people's homes in future, I think.
Absolutely.
Like in terms of like it getting broader appeal, this seems like the way
this
forward,
is stuff that's going to push VR into the mainstream. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Presumably, as it becomes more powerful over time, as mobile phones have, it's going to just get better and better in terms of like visual quality and stuff.
Definitely. I mean, as the screens get high resolution, as the headset itself gets lighter and better and more powerful, as you say. But yeah, this is a great sort of first major step, and this does feel like VR 2.0. It feels like a big milestone, and it gets me really excited for what's coming next. I know, like we've got things like the Vive Pro and the Rift S, and now Valve Index, which are going for like the really high powered route, and I'm sure those experiences will be amazing. But this is very much more again in like the good enough category, and I think it gets me excited for what's coming in the future. Yeah, I'll play some stuff. I won't go into too much detail, but because I wanted to compare PSVR to Quest, I put on Skyrim VR, which my mate Joe is lending me, and I've had it for ages, and I just haven't got around to playing it. And it's actually quite cool. As rough as Skyrim looks graphically, and it does look rough, it's obviously incredibly old now. It's still pretty cool, like having those first few moments, like being in the cave and then walking out the cave and seeing the dragon overhead. I think you've got it, haven't you, James?
I had it, but then I sold it because I couldn't get past like how it looks like when I played it, because I found the resolution just made me feel sick because it didn't feel like good enough. To be honest,
it definitely looks rough, but yeah.
But the opening scenes when you're going down in that cart are fantastic. Like you're sitting there, and you can look around and everything. That is fantastic, and also getting your head locked off, or supposedly going to that bit's really good. But I found the movement and everything made me feel sick as well, and it's just like I don't want to play this. It's not that great.
Oh, really? Yeah. First, it does the thing where like it, you can like teleport and also like turn around in like 20 degree increments. But after 5 minutes, I turn it off and I was just like fully moving around, and it feels amazing. Like I'm never going to get through Skyrim because I've got other things I want to play and I barely have time to play them. But Skyrim is one of those things I'm like, I wish I could just play it, because I haven't played an Oblivion game or any of these sorts of games or Morrowind before, and I got Skyrim, and then I loved the first like 15 hours or so I played, and then stopped playing because I think Battlefield 3 came out at the time. And it's always like, I'd love to go back, and it seems like actually, surprisingly, that is the sort of thing I'll probably be into. And in VR, it's like, wow, this feels amazing, but I'm never going to dedicate the hours that this game requires.
Well, this is it. I've been tempted with that Switch version a few times, but it's it's just the time in it.
Yeah, I had the Switch version, and I ended up playing. I finished it, like as in like the main story and some of the side quest stuff and everything on that, because of the fact that you could play it anywhere. I mean, that was the thing that that sort of clinched it. But then also, like visually, it looks not that great on Switch, and it was okay. I do sometimes feel like I'd like to go back to the PSVR version, because I've heard that if you play it on PS4 Pro, it does look a bit better than it did, because I was playing it on the base like PS4 when I tried it. So I'm kind of tempted, but again, it is the time, isn't it, for a game I've already finished? It's not.
I mean, I wasn't like, God, this game is horrendously ugly. I could see it was an older game. Textures obviously showed that. But I was still enjoying being in the world. I don't think it's off-putting. And just seeing like a massive fucking dragon over your head it was just really cool. And that's it, really. I'm still basically deep towards VR stuff, but this gets me excited about what's coming next for sure.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's pretty much me.
Cool. Emails then.
Okay, if you want to email us, it's podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. Kurt Lewin has written in. He said, I was reading a Kotaku article last week about people who played games that made them question their religious beliefs and all their political beliefs and other viewpoints. So I wanted to ask if a game has ever made you question your viewpoints, religious, political, or otherwise, and what was the game to do it?
I don't know. I feel like playing a lot of computer games can sort of feed into a general ability to put yourself in other people's shoes, or to try out courses of action that you personally wouldn't consider, just to see the consequences and go, yes, that's horrible. But I can't think of any like standout examples that have really changed me, like, like instantly, like, oh fuck, I'd never thought about it that way before. Do you know what I mean?
I think some games have made me research things. Like, they've made me more interested in things that maybe I didn't know about or were curious about. But I wouldn't say there's been anything that's really like completely shaken my worldviews about anything or anything like that. I mean, that's not really happened.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love that. Imagine if you play a game that it did that. I mean, I will say not. I mean, I'm not religious, and actually, I will say at this point, this is another subject entirely. But I'm part of me is like jealous about people who are deeply religious. I'm like, imagine having something that you believe in so much that it gives you real comfort and warmth. Anyway, this is probably another subject.
I totally get that.
Far too big for this, but I sadly don't believe that. But it wasn't a religious experience. But when I played Proteus, have you guys played that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's like a really short, abstract sort of audio-visual journey, and it wasn't a religious experience, but I was like, this makes me feel really weird and, like, wonderful. It didn't change any religious beliefs. It didn't make me think anything. It wasn't... But it was like... It was kind of a spiritual game.
Totally.
I mean, I haven't really played a game that makes me fully change any sort of beliefs, but I can't wait to have a game where I do have that, because that sounds like an incredible experience. I mean, probably closer to what James said about actually reviewing and researching things.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like informing political beliefs or that, I mean, you're not going to get that from any of these big games now, are you? Because they don't want to.
Well, no, they're all totally apolitical, aren't they? Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, it's a shame. Like, we're all aware of the amazing stories that games can tell and the ways they can make us feel, and all the rest of it. So it is a shame that we're all kind of like, nah. I feel like we should have better answers for this. But
no, like you said though, Sean, there's stuff that makes you like look at things from different perspectives, maybe. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to change like how you view things. If you see what I mean. Like you can appreciate other viewpoints maybe through some of this, or maybe understand other people's feelings in different ways. But not like completely change the way you look at things.
Yeah, I never really played it much, but Papers, Please, wasn't that a game that sort of made you look at other viewpoints from a different angle?
Certainly, It's like you can approach that very idealistic, and then the reality of the situation sort of makes you compromise.
Reality, isn't
that's
it?
I think that's what games do well, is like, in that they often assume you're going in with the best will in the world, and then it's the ways in which you have to compromise on that. that then becomes interesting. But nothing's ever... I've never done anything that I previously deemed horrible in a game and went, actually, do you know what? That was cool as fuck. I'm gonna, but yeah. But it's an interesting question. I'll have to read the Kotaku article because I'm curious as to the examples people came up with.
I mean, I guess what I'm thinking about now, like a game that's really changed my viewpoint, is probably Detroit. I mean, like, thinking about consciousness of AI, what it means to the planet. Yeah, probably Detroit. I guess what I'm thinking about now. Yeah. I'm sure Detroit's mentioned a lot in that Kotaku
definitely.
Piece.
Definitely
I'm sure
is,
it's.
There's a lot of original thinking in that game. There's a lot of
lots of thinking. That's for sure. That's emails. Let's go on to tweets. It's at Computer Game Pod if you want to tweet us a question. Jordan Blythe has tweeted in at Red Soaked Sponge. I may be missing something, but why have you guys not even mentioned Dreams yet? You talked about Mario Maker 2, but Dreams is 100% more revolutionary when it comes to user-created content. The stuff people are making on there is insane. Please give it a go.
Nah.
Doesn't Dreams also require like basic programming skills or whatever? It's like got to be.
No, that's our point. Of course not. That'd be ridiculous. The whole point is that you don't need programming skills to make these games.
But surely it requires you have to figure out logic stuff because otherwise,
I don't know. I haven't played it, but the whole point is that it's like this crazy sandbox with. It can be quite complex, but also
that's what worries me because the thing that I like about Mario Maker is it's really focused. Actually, it's like
with Mario Maker, it's the limitations and it's the fact that it's a language that most people who play video games already speak because it's all elements that you're familiar with, just combined in new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
Whereas Dreams is like, hey, do whatever, and that's amazing. Like I'm not shitting on Dreams, although I have in the past. It's an incredible achievement, but I can see why people find that intimidating. Whereas Mario Maker is like, mate, just tap away at the screen and place some blocks and then have a go. It's so much more accessible, and and that is thanks to the limitations of it.
I mean, I feel like
I have seen those really impressive videos though.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I can sit there on my sofa watching TV and making a Mario level at the same time. I probably wouldn't do that for Dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love. I mean, like I said before, I'm just not. I just don't think I'm into creating games and stuff. And I don't. I mean, I'm not fussed about making Mario levels, let alone making something much more complex than Dreams. I'm sure if you're into that, it is an amazing tool. And the videos I've seen of stuff either people recreated or their own original pieces of work is stunning, considering what they can make. Considering it's just like a consumer friendly product.
But I think what we're trying to say is that we're lazy. Is the thing, and
yes, basically, yeah. Let's stick to 2D.
When I see something amazing in Mario Maker, it's not unthinkable to me that I might be able to do something similar. Whereas when I see amazing stuff in Dreams, I'm just like, nah, fuck that, no chance.
That's not going to happen.
No, sorry,
Joe Mank or Mankey, are video games drugs?
No.
Well, let's think. I mean, they're legal highs.
They are legal highs. I mean, right. I don't know how serious he was with this question because that was literally all he sent in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just in the subject line.
But I mean, in a way,
let's get into it, shall we?
They are, yeah. So you're having emotional and physiological responses to something that isn't real, but then by that token, loads of fiction is drugs as well.
Possibly, yeah. If films are drugs, I mean, art is art drugs.
Is art drugs?
Yeah.
Who knows?
The answer is yes.
There's the title for the episode.
No, because I think my title up to now is all garbage levels, but I think is art drugs is maybe better. Yeah. Okay, well, yeah. So it does it change how you feel, physically and mentally? Yes. So tick.
But then, playing a video game doesn't prevent me.
Tick.
Playing a video game doesn't prevent me from driving a car or having a coherent conversation, or not, piss myself or whatever. I don't know. This is me who's never taken drugs, being like, what do people enjoy? No one's ever stolen my shoes because I play video games.
that's well. If you're playing PSVR, someone could definitely nick your shoes.
That's true.
Also, if you have a PSVR, you might feel sick. Also, so basically, I guess what I'm saying is art is drugs, not video games.
They're all drugs, mate. The whole lot.
Everything is a drug.
Television's the opiate of the masses. What on earth are video games?
Yeah, what is that? No. Okay, Oodles are dim. So recently I've got back into No Man's Sky in a big bad way. It's basically a new game now. What games have you totally binned off in the past, then years later returned for whatever reason and loved it? I will say before we answer this question, is it not summer now? Like, where's this VR update?
Yeah.
When are we expecting it? August?
I want it in my eyes.
That's the only thing that would take me back to that game. But I'm very excited to play it when it does come out.
I'd be keen to give it another go even prior to that update because I've seen, like, I can't remember when I last went on it, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people just be like, "Oh my god, I've gone back to it and it's incredible." But I don't know if that's them like not playing it since release or what. In which case, I've seen most of the stuff they've added.
Because as part of the summer update, the VR thing was only like 2 or 3, wasn't it? I'm sure there was like a third part of the big update that haven't been revealed yet. So maybe they reveal the third part and say, "Here's the release date." I was sort of thinking, do I go back now? But I think I might save it, and I'll just wipe my save for the second or third time now, and then start again in VR, and then go from there.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be amazing.
In terms of going, you binned off?
So Fire Emblem Awakening. I think I got it like with my 3DS, and then didn't touch it for like 3 years. So no, I played like a bit of it. And it was good, but I didn't like fully get into it. And then returned much later. And look, it's probably one of my top 10 all-time favorite games. It's amazing, absolutely stunning game. There's definitely others that I can't think of right now. Has anyone else got any?
I had more recently. I had Loco Roco was like that. Like I owned it for ages and didn't bother playing it, and then played it recently and was like, "Oh, this is great. Why have I not played this before?" That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I often spin games and don't go back to them. That's your thing. Sadly, my trouble.
Yeah.
But the idea of going back to something, no. I mean, the only thing I would ever want to go back to is like old multiplayer games that no one's playing. Like I think about, I wonder what Battlefield 3 is like. Is it as good as it was back in the day? And I was going to say no one's playing it. Actually, I'm sure it's probably got a quite decent audience.
Yeah.
Put more people playing that than Battlefield.
I think
5.
Battlefield is one of those series where most people have like gone back, haven't they? Because 5 didn't really do the job.
Battlefield 3 was just so bloody good. It was, I know.
Bad Company 2, mate. It's the best one.
Well, that's why they should have announced a new Bad Company.
They should.
People like you,
just
Sean.
a re-release,
a new Bad Company. That's why they should have done that. Jake Invaders on Twitter, can Matt confirm he is now fully briefed on the dangers of sunbeds? I worked in a dermatology department for a number of years and we used to urge people never to use them. Stick to ploughing hundreds of pounds into gacha games, my friend. Yes, I'm fully aware of the dangers and I haven't been on one for many a year. If I went on one now, it'll send me back 15 years and I'll be addicted all over again. It's best not. I walk past them and I don't look inside. It's not worth it because.
How did you? What happened in terms of you not using them anymore? Was it like did you have to just go cold turkey, or was it like a gradual?
I can't remember. I probably found some other thing to overdo at university, but
supplanted
I don't know. Actually, my friends were all very concerned. Like I said, they would come up to me if I was like 10 minutes late from home and sniff me and say, "You smell of sunbeds. What the hell do you think you're doing? You sort your life out." So maybe it was partly peer pressure as well, but
yeah, fair enough.
And maybe it was also coming in from uni. I don't know. Either way, let's not think about it too much because I don't want to set myself. It's probably like an alcoholic thinking, "Oh, do you remember that amazing IPA I had a few years ago?" And then before you know it, I'm in the gutter. Well, not in the gutter. I'm in the sunbed.
In a sunbed.
Thomas. I'm a fluff 42. So, do you have any more plans for the website? I know you used to write reviews in the Spong days. Would you consider doing that again? It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's a lot of work, and I don't like. I've come to terms with the fact that I don't enjoy the craft of writing half as much as either hosting this or doing video stuff. Like if I had time to work on something focused, I would rather like script a video and shoot it. I think
definitely, yeah.
Rather than like just write something to be read, and that's I'm not shitting on writing. Like there's still loads of really good games writers and stuff. I just personally, I don't know. I feel like with writing, I was kind of doing this like pretty much doing the same stuff over and over, and like using like certain phrases and thinking, no, hang on, have I already said that in my last 3 reviews and stuff? Whereas, I mean, I definitely do that on the podcast as well, but it's just conversation, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's different,
Whereas, like, even though it pretty much died, like, I really enjoyed this, like, doing the stuff I did for Data Beast, and I've been really enjoying doing, the streaming stuff. So that, I don't know, I think I enjoy learning new things, and not that I don't have anything to learn about writing anymore, but it's just cool trying out new media and stuff like that. So
yeah, you did Liz Orion, didn't you, first Spawn, James? Do you not miss that? Or?
I did, yeah. Not particularly. I mean, because
you only did it for the free stuff.
Well, yeah, there's that. I mean, it's also because for my work, I write all the time. Like, it's a constant thing, and it's like, I don't really feel like I want to do that outside of that now. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's definitely part of it. Like, I have to write a lot of incredibly carefully worded emails, and that's enough. Frankly,
and it's also because like the writing I do is like in a certain style, and it's like I don't want to have to like you have to adjust it. And when you're writing for like games and stuff like that, and it's like I can't be bothered at the moment. It's part of the problem with that.
I mean, and to be clear, like having been paid to write stuff in the past, it's amazing that we're now at a point where we get a bit of an income from doing this instead. So like I wouldn't really if someone offered me some paid written work, I could be like, I think I might be all right without.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy talking about stuff, but writing about it now is a bit. I don't really want to at the moment. Maybe that'll change though.
That's fair.
It's
Well, I wrote like maybe 2 things for Spawn. I was never really into. I mean, I started like my career agencies being copywriter, so I have loved writing in the past. But I mean, imagine me writing. I mean, like if you thought Tacoma was bad, imagine what it's like if I'm writing something. Jesus, no, I'm good. I don't miss it. In terms of like plans for the website, we're just letting it tick over for the moment, but probably not writing in the short term for sure. We will end with Nick G at Prodcharger. Sean Bell, your relentless, vicious attacks on Warframe led me to try it from a sense of morbid curiosity. Now I'm addicted. No. I've even spent premium currency on fucking cosmetics. Have you ever introduced a game to someone and regretted it because I got horribly addicted? Well done, Sean.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I am genuinely glad you're enjoying it. I don't know if you've seen they had their Warframe.
Yeah, it's like TennoCon
convention. TennoCon, that's it. And again, it's like everything they announced just sounds amazing. I just wish I enjoyed playing the fucking thing. But I'm
it's
really
now
glad
got a cinematic
it.
directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did like
and they're saying this,
Lane, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and they're saying like the sort of ship combat stuff is looking amazing because it's like getting in and out of ships and like taking over ships and then controlling them, and it sounds wicked. I just hate it. Have you ever introduced a game to someone and regretted it because they got horribly addicted? Certainly, like I've got friends where like if there's like so like Destiny 2 for example, there's a few friends I got on board with that, and they like within 2 weeks they'd done the first raid and stuff, and I was like, see you later. Actually, like they just totally like. What? Sorry.
You should say I haven't even done. Well, why have you ever taken me?
It's like you sort of certain friends you have where you can be like, oh, you should come play this. It's really cool. I'm kind of an expert at it actually, and then within weeks they've just plowed so much time into it they've totally surpassed you. That's definitely been a thing with Destiny 2. I can't think of any other examples though.
I mean, I blame you two for getting me addicted to Fire Emblem Heroes. If you two hadn't said Fire Emblem is such a great game, I wouldn't have said, oh, what's this? And then
we also told you that
you'd better play the new one, man.
Well, yeah, but I didn't listen to that bit. I just listened to the bit where you said Fire Emblem is a great series. I'm like, oh, brilliant! I'll play the mobile version.
There's an update out.
Surely it's exactly the same.
You'd
better play the Switch one, Matt. If you don't get the Switch one, I will be cross.
I know that. The saddest thing is when it says it takes 80 hours, I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Am I going to...
Oh, it'd be good, though.
There's no way that Matt's going to play
80 hours, mate.
It's impossible. There's no way.
Don't say that, actually. I've got too much on my plate as it is.
Is this reverse psychology, James? Are you trying to doubt him so they'd be like, no, fuck you, I'm going to play it?
It's true, definitely he's not going to do it.
Genuinely don't think he will.
No, it's impossible. It'll be 3 or 4 hours tops.
It's not impossible. Bollocks. I'm past those stages of 3 or 4 hours
right.
tops.
You can just skip all the cutscenes like you did with Red Dead.
That's also not true. This is unfair.
It is slander.
80 hours is a long old time, but what about you, James?
It'll be good, though. It'll be such a good time, I promise.
I mean, you only put
We'll
those
see.
sorts of hours into mobile games, Matt. Like, you're not going to do it for like a proper game.
I would love to know my hours played on Fire Emblem Heroes. It'll be shocking. Anyway, what about you, James? Have you gotten on into playing games and they've been horribly addicted and they've lost everything?
No.
Okay,
bully for you.
That's aren't you good? That's it for emails. You can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com if you want to do that. Let's get on to the end bit. Friday, James is still playing Quantum Break.
I am. I think I'm near the end. Well,
Why?
not at all.
Why?
But, you know.
No, James, because every Friday I keep watching you watch those episodes. Don't do that. Just play the game. What's wrong with you?
It's part of the story. You have to watch the episodes.
You don't have to, though, do you?
But it's a nice break to just sit there for like 20 minutes. Well,
20 minutes?
Is it a nice quantum break?
You waste...
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Vader. But you won't stream for an hour, and 25 minutes of that is like watching an episode.
But what is amazing about it? No, I didn't. I did nearly 2 hours on Friday because I got annoyed because I got stuck
It was
outside
such a
a
good
building.
time.
Well, no, I got stuck outside a building at the beginning for 20 minutes. I couldn't work out how to get in it.
No, because you were binge watching the episodes.
Well, no, it's also because you see the trouble is because I only play it once a week. I always forget what the controls are and the basic game mechanics. So it usually takes at least 15 or 20 minutes to get like back into that again every time. It's very
No,
irritating.
because surely the controls are play and pause. Like you press play, you watch the episode. So I'll just watch another one and another one. How far, honestly, do you think you are into that game?
I think about halfway through, probably. But
Okay,
I mean, what still blows my mind about it though is that game was supposed to be the future. You know, that was what the future of gaming was going to be, according to Microsoft at the launch of the Xbox One. Don't know what they were thinking. It's just bad cutscenes. But what is really interesting about it when you watch those TV episodes is noticing like the gulf in quality between the established actors, shall we call them, and the other people that are not. And it's even in one scene, like just seeing them interact with each other is fascinating. I'm enjoying that.
Oh, well, that is Friday night. If you want to watch James live on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show, of course. That's Friday night from 9. Sunday night from 8:30, I'm still going through Bloodborne. I beat a Brightass this week. I think that's an optional boss in the main game. So I'm back in the DLC now, and I'm roaring through that. And then Tuesday, Sean is playing an indie game or whatever he wants every Tuesday
Mario
night.
Maker, mate. Mario Maker, fuck it.
Mario Maker over the next few weeks for sure. But Mario Maker, Tuesday nights from 9 p.m. also on twitch.tv/Computer Game Show. All the ones if you don't watch them live, you can watch them again on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't, I definitely implore you to watch Sean's Mario Maker stream from last week and maybe also one from yesterday, if that is indeed another Mario Maker one.
Well, not so sure about it. It might be shit, but we'll see.
Yeah, it might be terrible, but watch it anyway. Also, Twitch related, if you've got Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime, and with that, you get 1 free sub a month, and we'd really appreciate it if you went into our channel and gave us your free sub. The money really, really helps. Star Course is out this week. David has watched Revenge of the Sith, episode 2, that is. It's a fantastic episode, so get watching that.
Attack of the Clones, Matt.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is episode 3, yeah.
Of course, my bad. Okay, Attack of the Clones. Anyway, it's out on all podcast services. Give it a listen.
Yeah,
and we're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. You can go there, you can get exclusive podcasts. We do early looks at other things we're doing and this, that, and the other. So go over there, think about supporting us if you like what we're doing. And that's it.
Ace. Cool. Thanks for listening. And I'm going to go. And you guys do what you want, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No worries.
Edit and then maybe play some Beat Saber.
Nice.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is. It's fun. What about you, James? What are you going to do?
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, if you said anything else, I'd have kicked off because you're always complaining about how late these end. So
Private time.
Makes sense.
Private time.
Right. Cheers, everyone. Good night.
Goodbye.
Oh, and thanks for letting us be natural, obviously. Really appreciate that. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget that.